What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news right here over on our YouTube page, A-Plus Hero Report, also streaming live for you today over on our Facebook page as well, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us here on a Sunday afternoon. Hopefully everything is going well where you guys are certainly located. So thank you very much for certainly joining us as we've got 6 great topics to certainly go ahead and break down for you guys today. A couple of honorable mentions that we'll tackle at the beginning of this episode, some topics that maybe didn't quite make the cut, but we wanted you to certainly be notified of it. And then, of course, towards the end of our show, guys, we're going to be getting into your live viewer questions. So a range of topics today, from Marvel to DC to some movies as well, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be having a good time today. So sit back. Hopefully, since it's a Sunday, you guys don't have too much to do. So sit back, relax, take a sip of that coffee, whatever you guys drink in the morning, and enjoy yourself, because it's not just myself, and no, it's not just Stuart. Also, we've got the whole crew joining us here today, as we've got the Knights of the Round Nerdom here today. What's going on, fellas? Good to see everybody. Yeah, we need some of those sound effects. We need that sound mixer again.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be back.
It's good. Good to have you, man. I know you've been your work schedule has been kind of crazy. How long are you gonna be here for?
The only Sunday I work in the month of September is the 19th.
Okay, not too bad. So we have you around for a while.
All month.
Yeah, and I couldn't get off of that one. I was trying my best. Like, look, just give me every Sunday. I work any other day. I was like, just give me every Sunday. And it's like, no, you got to work this one. Somebody's having a baby and they need the day off. Like, the baby's not more important than Hero Report.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't even know this person, so who cares?
Yeah.
But no, congratulations to them. Stuart, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Good to be back. Good to have Indy back. Thank you. It's yeah. So before we started the show yesterday, I asked you if I could make a quick kind of semi-political PSA, and it kind of comes. Oh, yeah. I figured now might be the best time just before we start a show. So working at the theater, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, as a manager, and recently, because of San Francisco, we started kind of enforcing the vaccination cards if people want to get popcorn and drinks. And so I'm thinking, okay, we might have a few people every now and then, like, 1 or 2 people a day that we have to turn back. Most of them probably wearing those red hats. Anyways, I discovered that we've had to turn down quite a disturbingly large amount of people. So I'm just gonna, kind of say this right now. I swear we don't usually get political on the show, but guys, please get vaccinated if you can. There are very, very, very few reasons of why you shouldn't, and those reasons are so rare and in between that I highly doubt it would apply to any of our viewers. So guys, please get vaccinated. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I know you said getting like food and concessions and stuff, but does your theater offer? Do they have do you have to show your requirement, your COVID-19 card and stuff before you even enter, or how's that working out with your theater?
Yeah, you have to have either the card or there's also this app that you can download that, as long as it's really easy, actually. You download it, you put in your name and then the dates that you got vaccinated, and it automatically knows the rest of the information. So it downloads basically the card for you, so you're good to go. So even if you somehow lost your vaccination card, you can still get the app and you're good. We just require the app and an ID so we can look at them side by side, so we know that you're not just using someone else's vaccination card.
Interesting. And that's for Cinemark, right?
Yes.
I feel like we've been to AMC, but I don't know if AMC requires that or not as of yet. I'll have to double check next time I go.
It's specifically a city thing right now, because we're in San Francisco. Gotcha. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I wasn't sure. Well, appreciate the PSA, man. Appreciate the PSA for everybody out there, since things have gotten a little bit crazier these days. Yeah, we were at like a valley. Now we're kind of back at the peak, and I'm ready to continue to keep going back to the movies, man. They got some great movies that are currently out right now. What was the movie that just came out this weekend that I'm actually looking really forward to? Candyman came out. That's right. And then you got Shang-Chi next week, if I'm not mistaken, also next weekend. So a couple big weekends at the movies, guys. So make sure you got your vaccinations taken care of and enjoy the movies. You know what I mean? All right, guys, before we get into any of our main topics today, we will be breaking down some honorable mentions for you guys. Again, some topics that maybe didn't necessarily quite make the cut, but that we want to go ahead and express here. But before we get into that real quick, if you guys do have any live viewer questions that you want to go ahead and submit and send over so we can go ahead and get to them towards the end of the show, feel free to submit them over at any time to aplusopinions@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusopinions@gmail.com if you have any live viewer questions. Just in case if we missed your comments in the live chat, we'll definitely go ahead and get to your questions at the end of the show. So, fellas, are you ready for some honorable mentions? Do you guys pick out any today?
Oh, you know.
What you got for us? Oh, you want Stuart to go first?
Yeah, I got a lot.
Yeah, I'll go first. So this isn't news related, or this isn't nerd news related, but it's so funny with how stupid it is that I just really wanted to bring it up.
Okay.
But so the little you guys know the really famous album cover from Nirvana where it's like the baby going after the $1 bill.
Yes, I know where you're going with this. I think I read this earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, the actual baby is now an adult, and he wants to sue Nirvana for using his likeness as a baby and then trying to claim that it's child pornography. And it's just he's trying to get $150,000, I think, from each of the members. And it's such a dumb case because if anything, the only person he could legally have any I'm not sure what the term to use for that is, but the only one he could legally possibly have any case with is maybe his parents who signed up for letting him be used for an album cover, but definitely not the band itself. And even that is really stretching it because, that's just because that's just something that parents are allowed to do, whether or not that's morally right or not. Parents are allowed to sign their kids up for, different movie projects and other stuff, when they're infants. So it was such a dumb case. I honestly thought it was an Onion article, and I was surprised to see that this is a real thing.
Yeah, I do remember reading that last week, and it definitely left me confused. I didn't know how much he was asking for, but $150,000 from each person. I mean, man, if you're gonna sue somebody, go big or go home. I feel like that's chump change almost. But yeah, it didn't make any sense to me either. I mean, this album cover's been around forever. How old is this guy now? Is he in his 20s? Did he just become legally of age to sue anybody? What's he been waiting for? I've been wondering.
I think he just hit his 20s or something like that. He looks kind of young, but he's definitely an adult.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's odd, man. I don't know what to even think about that. I mean, it's one of those things where it's when you look at the album cover, the idea of child pornography is not the first thing that ever comes to my mind when I look at that cover in any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know what this guy is trying to achieve out of this, but hey.
I just think he's trying to get easy money. That's it. Maybe, and because it's not like you were just saying, it's not that much money. I think he wants something very specific. He's trying to either kickstart.
He wants to buy a new house. Yeah.
Exactly. He wants to get a new house or something like that.
I feel you. All right. Indy, what honorable mention do you have for us today?
Man, I got to go with my man Jacob Anderson. Don't know who he is? Well, that's because everybody knows him as Grey Worm
from Game of Thrones.
Nobody actually knew his real name. I think I'm the only person that actually researched other stuff he's been in. He's one of my favorite characters from the series. He's actually going to be the lead in the new Interview with the Vampires series.
Oh, that's cool. I wasn't sure if they were making a reboot of the movie, but it's a series, huh?
Yeah, it's actually going to be a series, and he got cast as Luis. So I really can't wait to see what he does with that role, the lead role. I really felt even not talking much, you know what I'm saying? He killed it as Grey Worm. He had a presence on the screen, so it's going to be interesting to see what he could bring to this character.
Yeah, man, him with fangs as a vampire. I'm there for it. I could totally see it.
I gotta be totally honest. I've actually never seen Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, it's a classic, man. Definitely go ahead and check it out.
Yeah, it looks like somebody has to do a watch along.
That's an intense watch along, man. Definitely enjoy that story when you get around to checking it out. But that's cool, man. I didn't know. Yeah, I hadn't heard anything from him outside of Game of Thrones, so I didn't know what else he had currently working for him. So that's cool that he found another job after Game of Thrones for sure. What else has he been in after that?
He was also in Game Grumps. He joined Danny and Aaron for like a short Game Grumps session, and he seemed pretty funny.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Well, appreciate the update in regards to that, Indy, for sure. If there are any Grey Worm fans out there, definitely continue to follow along with his career. A couple other honorable mentions we'll go ahead and knock out for you guys. We wind up getting ourselves our very first look. We got a couple of things currently in production for you guys. On the DC television side of things, we know that we've got the Ava DuVernay Naomi series that's certainly set to be dropping, I believe, next year, if I'm not mistaken. I believe early 2022. But they are, in fact, currently filming right now. We wind up getting ourselves some behind the scenes photos, not too many, just getting the opportunity. I believe this is like first day of shooting, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, you've got the main actress that's going to be playing Naomi filming as well. So Naomi is full steam ahead for our brand new DC television character, still relatively new within the DC comics, if I'm not mistaken, Indy. How have you liked the character in general of Naomi? And with us having these behind the scenes photos, are you eager or at least looking forward to this series?
I'm very much looking forward to this series. I've liked the character in the comics, but it's one of them things where I really want to see what more the character develops into. Because it's a very early character, so there's not much lore behind her. So it's something where they can actually, I'm guessing, develop more of who the character is going to be in the comics by going alongside with the television show. So I'm looking forward to see what's going on. From what I've seen from the behind the scenes, everybody looks like they're having fun. It looks like it's going to be dope. And if they keep it in veins of Stargirl, Black Lightning, maybe sees to a Batwoman, like they keep it in the veins of filming it like that and just trying to tell the story about the character, they should be all right.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I have no doubt that this is definitely going to be one of the like higher budget DC television shows, like on par with Stargirl and Superman. So what I look forward to is it being so good that DC immediately regrets their decision of canceling the New Gods movie and being like, oh man, this is the director we could have had for New Gods.
Yeah, I do wonder if I do wonder also if it was a thing of, you know, that maybe they just didn't necessarily know where to place the movie at. I do wonder if it's completely scrapped or off the table, or if they're like maybe holding on to the script so that maybe within the next couple of years it's something they can kind of revisit. But when it comes to Ava DuVernay, I'm just glad that Warner Brothers, whether they went with her movie or not, that they at least landed her for something. And the fact that she's going to be doing a DC television show, I think is great. So I'm really eager to see just what her vision is, especially when it comes to the small screen. You know, how can she certainly bring this world of superheroes to life in that regards? And I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, Indy, I do believe there's a sense of mystery in regards to Naomi's just lore and history of just where she comes from. The idea of discovering, you know, her origins as well. So should be pretty fun. Should be pretty fun in that regards. More behind the scenes photos wind up dropping too, as we wind up having Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever is currently in front of cameras, ladies and gentlemen, as the sequel to Black Panther continues to film. You got Okoye along with Shuri here, just looking fantastic in their costumes. And then last but not least, we also have the actress Dominique Thorne that's going to be playing Riri Williams on set. They're actually currently filming over at MIT. Since for those of you who were familiar with Riri Williams, she's actually going to MIT when she's eventually sort of discovered by Tony Stark and just the genius that she certainly is. So I believe they're currently filming over on MIT, but this is in fact Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. And then of course, again, you got Okoye and Shuri here. Stuart, what are you thinking about some of the set photos in here? Are you eager for this movie?
Definitely. Actually, now I'm kind of curious. Okay, definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but Civil War, wasn't Tony Stark giving like the big what do you call it? Like the
presentation? Was that at MIT?
Was it? If it was at MIT, I wonder if Tony Stark actually funded her Ironheart suit.
Ooh, or at least like they might have met up at some point earlier.
Not that they met up, but you know, he said he was going to like fund every student project that was currently being worked on. So it'd be funny if like she was like a student there when he did it, but of course then she got blipped, so now she's back, and that's why she's the same age.
Oh, I kind of dig that, Stuart. That's a cool theory. What about you, Indy? How are you feeling about the behind the scenes photos in this film?
I'm liking him too, and I'm really liking his theory because it really goes hand in hand with Peter and them coming back and everybody being as old or older than them, and them having to come back and deal with the whole situation of not even being with their same classmates and learning how to deal with that. So that would be interesting for her to have to deal with that. And then with Tony Stark not being around, did that fun date, you know what I'm saying? Did that foundation stay up? Did she have to go link up with somebody else? Does she end up going to what it was it Brooklyn? Where
Oakland?
Oakland, where did she end up going to Oakland? You know what I'm saying, to end up going to that school, and that's where she connects with Syria, you know, I'm sure, or something like that. It'd be pretty interesting to put those real life aspects into that in order for it to be done.
Yeah, I was when I saw that she was going to pop up in Wakanda Forever, and then now seeing these photos, I definitely like your theory, Stuart. I think that would be pretty cool if they went that route. But I was definitely leaning when the initial thoughts that I had was because T'Challa references at the end of Black Panther that he wants Shuri to lead like the science centers that he wants to build out in that community, and I thought for a second that maybe that's where Riri Williams comes in. Maybe she ends up sort of being a student at that at the science centers that Wakanda certainly starting to establish. So that's the route that I certainly thought that they were perhaps going to go. I thought maybe they would just use the campus of MIT as the representation for the science centers, but who knows? But regardless, I think this is going to be pretty fun to kind of see them discover Riri Williams. Do you guys think we see the Ironheart suit briefly in this, or do you think we just get introduced to the character?
At the very least, I'm pretty sure we're at least getting a prototype of the suit. So it'll look like absolute crap, but it'll just be there so they can establish it for her TV show.
I think we get a helmet. I want to see a helmet and then like Shuri looking like, what is that supposed to be? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I want to see them friendly, but I also want to see them trying to one up each other. You know what I'm saying? Like type of thing on who's smarter. You know, it'll be interesting to me. That's one thing that I wanted to see I wanted to see interaction between Tony and Shuri. Like that type of thing. And I never got that. You did get the plenty of interaction between him and Peter, which was interesting to me. But Shuri had that attitude where, you know what I'm saying, she knows she's the smartest. And I would have loved to see what she would have said to Tony Stark. So with Riri Williams being a fan of Tony Stark, and you know what I'm saying, that being her hero that she looks up to, I want to see that interaction. And when she, you know, I'm smarter than Tony. No, you weren't. Tony Stark was the best. I want to see that. It'll be crazy.
That would be pretty cool.
What I want to see more of, because we already got a little bit of it in Infinity War, I want to see more with her and Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner, because I love those moments where like he's being outsmarted by her and is completely catching him off guard because he's so used to being like the smartest one in the room.
Well, I mean, he's a biologist. Is that what he is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, biologists only smart as long as stuff is living. As long as the
True.
After that, you're just out of luck.
All right. So next honorable mentions that we have for you guys, we will change course here a little bit. We're going to go over to some Netflix. I was not expecting these photos to wind up dropping, but we actually have our very first look at the upcoming Netflix series, live action series, mind you, of Cowboy Bebop, the very popular anime series from years ago. Absolutely loved. Not a very long series either, guys. So if you want to go ahead and check out Cowboy Bebop, you could probably do it in a weekend if you want to. So definitely go ahead and check it out for yourself. But this is a television series that actually wind up getting delayed because the main actor wind up injuring himself very early on. But he came back. They went ahead and filmed the entire series, and it's set to go ahead and hit us. I don't have a release date yet. I can't remember if they gave a release date or if it just said coming soon. But we do have your guys' very first photos here. First look at the live action Cowboy Bebop, which looks absolutely amazing if you ask me. What are you guys thinking about these so far?
Oh my God, it just looks so accurate to the anime. It's incredible. Especially like, you know, even with the outfit and the hair, it's just perfectly spot on. Everything about it, this visually has me hooked. Yeah,
John Choi, I think, was a perfect pick for Spike here. You're absolutely right with the hair, the style. We even got Danielle Pineda as Faye in here also, just looking great. She actually addressed some toxic fans this past weekend. I don't know if you guys saw her video that she wind up having. We got Mustafa Shakur as Jet also in here, looking great. You're absolutely right, Stuart. I mean, just anime accurate in regards to the designs of their costumes. But just looking at like group shots like this, or just some fun group shots like this, it definitely just screams the Cowboy Bebop anime series for me. You guys know when it comes to anime live action adaptions on Netflix, maybe not necessarily the strongest. How are you guys feeling about this one though?
With this one being this is a series, right?
Yeah, this is a series.
Yeah, this is a series. For some reason, I feel like a series is done better than trying to shove an entire story into a movie. The only one that I've seen done right so far, to be totally honest with you, is the Bleach that came out on that. Everything else has been a miss. I'm really scared about the My Hero adaptation that is getting ready to happen, but I'm just so glad it's not Netflix doing it. This is very interesting. Again, with the Faye toxicity, you fans are idiots. That's my own personal opinion. It might not be Adam and Stu. That's my personal opinion. You guys are idiots. If you want somebody, it just doesn't make sense for her to jump around and flip around and stuff like that with
like scantily clad clothing.
Yeah, and the way that the character is built. We understand how women are drawn in anime. If you look at My Hero, I mean, most of these characters only 14, 15 years old, and they're built like women who went under the knife for something. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's not real. Nobody is really, you know what I'm saying, built like that. There's a small percentage of people. But I think everything looks incredible. I think they got the clothes and the scenery down packed.
Yeah,
even to the dog. The only thing I'm missing is that we didn't see Ed. Like that, so I'm wondering if that's gonna be a season, and I'm wondering how they're gonna stretch this out, considering the anime only went from like 98 to 99. It was only 26 episodes long, I think. So are we getting like that story told from them 26 episodes, or are we going to get more than that? Because I would love for them to expand on this universe even past what we already know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how many. Yeah, maybe 2-3 seasons, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a mixture of story adaptations from the anime, because the anime was really episodic. So I could see them kind of bringing in like the episodes that worked really well, but then also kind of mixing in their own original ideas for episodes as well. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be pretty cool. I do want to see how they wind up forming like what the format of the series is going to be. How many episodes, how many seasons? It should be relatively interesting to see how it turns out. But visually, it looks stunning so far. So, guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think about the Cowboy Bebop photos that were in fact released? Do you think the casting looks great? Do you think the costume setting? Do you think the tone looks fantastic? Certainly go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, guys, we will wrap up our honorable mentions and get into our main topics for the day, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We got 6 topics we're going to be getting into. Some Marvel, some DC, some movies. Let's get it, guys. You guys ready to go ahead and tackle these with me?
Always.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's go.
Awesome. So this week was a huge week for us Spider-Man fans out there in the world. We had a big question all summer long. When are we going to get the opportunity to see a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home? Some people thought we wouldn't get a trailer at all. Some people thought maybe a couple of weeks prior to the movie being released. I think we were like thinking when Black Widow dropped that July 4th weekend, we thought we were certainly going to be seeing it that time also. But Marvel had other plans, and they actually went ahead and released the Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer this week for us, ladies and gentlemen. Now Indy has in fact done a No Way Home trailer review for his own personal thoughts over on our YouTube page. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to check it out, please do so. But myself and Stuart and us just as a group haven't really had the opportunity to sit down and talk about it much. So today is the day, ladies and gentlemen. Before we do, real quick, shout out to Shadow Nova Noah for certainly coming through. Appreciate you coming through. Captain RGD is in the house also. Hello, ladies, or hey, ladies is here as well. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly coming through. RGD does ask, do trailers ruin movie surprises? And when it comes to this particular movie that we're going to be getting, I actually didn't think there was anything too I don't want to say too surprising. Definitely some great things, right? But I think if you have been paying attention to Spider-Man No Way Home, some of the details that have been dropped, I don't think any of this surprises us so much or takes away anything from the movie itself. Personally, some trailers can certainly do that. When it comes to this one, though, I absolutely loved it, fellas. I thought this was a great tease to let us know what we're going to be getting ourselves into. But what do you guys think? How have you felt about it, Stuart?
See, I thought this was a perfect trailer in a lot of ways. Like, one of the major ones is people already knowing a lot which characters are definitely going to be coming back. And I think, like, in a lot of ways, Sony knew that we have really big, like, expectations for this. So when it came to kind of giving us the perfect amount of teases of what we might be able to expect, but also mixing it in with what we already know is going to happen, you know, like they name dropped the multiverse. We see Alfred coming back as Doc Ock at the very end of it. I think it was a good way to kind of give those fans that have been really wanting to, you know, see this all play out. It was a good way to give them like a little bit of it, a little taste of it, a little appetizer, if you will, enough to hold us over until, I think, December. I mean, for me personally, I don't know about other Spider-Man fans. I'm sure there's plenty that are going to disagree with me on this. If this is the only trailer we get until December, I am more than okay with that, because it helped confirm all the things that I wanted to be confirmed about in this. And I kind of don't want anything else to be confirmed. I want to just know, hey, we are definitely getting a Spider-Man live-action multiverse storyline that will have some ties with other movies. Whether Toby and Andrew actually do show up in this movie, I don't want to know until like I actually see it. So I hope we never see Andrew or Toby in any of the trailers, even if they are in the movie. And then the other thing too is, when you're looking at it through the point of view of casual moviegoers, people who don't keep up with this stuff online, but they keep up with all the Marvel movies, just try to look through the trailer through that perspective, and it's even more incredible, because the way they kind of give you some teases by not showing who the main villain is, but they show you a couple of things such as some yellow lightning to give you the indication that it could be Electro. You see like a storm of sand giving you the thought that it could be Sandman. You see also what was it, in the shadow, something that looks like it could be related to the Lizard. And then, you know, you see the pumpkin bomb that everyone recognizes from the original Spider-Man movie. And then the way they end, so after all those teases, the way they end it then is with Alfred looking, you know, the CG is a little weird, not gonna lie.
He almost looks younger than even the one we got in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. He looks like younger, but it is still really awesome to see the actor coming back as Dr. Octopus during that scene. So yes, I think this was honestly a perfect trailer. Definitely worth the wait.
I really enjoyed the fact that while we have been caught up very much in the multiversal aspect of this film, that this movie still hasn't necessarily forgotten or at least even implements the giant cliffhanger that we left off in Far From Home. You know, tackling the idea of Peter Parker's identity certainly being out there, maybe some of the danger that certainly comes along, you know, towards maybe his family in regards to the idea of people knowing who he is, and really how serious of an issue it is for Peter. So I'm glad that they managed to kind of take that storyline and really interweave it into this multiverse concept. The idea of him having to go and ask Doctor Strange for help, which, if I could be honest with you guys, I do wonder if they're trying to throw us a swerve in regards to the Doctor Strange stuff that we wind up getting. The only reason why I ask that or even bring it up, and I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. You know, some people are saying that, oh, he acts a little bit too weird. I think for me, what kind of throw me off is the idea that he lets Peter Parker distract him from doing a spell. Like, bro, you're the supreme sorcerer. Like, the idea of having like this little kid talk your ear off to where you can't concentrate to get the spell and you kind of mess it up sort of thing, it feels a little bit off. It doesn't feel like it's quite the Doctor Strange that I was kind of expecting. But then I almost think that there's maybe even more playing into it. I mean, I feel like if we've watched the MCU shows, we've seen several really big moments in regards to multiversal things that have happened, right? With Wanda messing around with reality, the Loki stuff at the very end with, the Kang variant and the timelines kind of being ripped apart. I am wondering if all that stuff kind of is happening parallel to each other, or maybe around the same time, and maybe what really causes Doctor Strange's sort of spell to go haywire, maybe not necessarily Peter distracting him, but maybe so many different multiversal things happening at once that it really just kind of screws up the spell that he's trying to create. I don't know. I mean, I've seen some theories that have definitely been out there, but what do you think, Indy, going back and watching it again?
To be totally honest with you, I don't think Doctor Strange is like any different than what he already than how he acts, especially with his arrogance and who he is and what he stands. It's something that he stand. That's all something that he stood in, is arrogance and being able to do stuff that couldn't nobody else do. Is that a spell that he's ever tried before? No, because they wouldn't allow him to try that type of spell. So he's doing magic that he doesn't normally do, thinking that he could do it because he is the Sorcerer Supreme. If you take it back to him getting caught in Infinity War, you know what I'm saying? Got distracted, got caught. Well, you know what I'm saying? Depending on everything that goes on. If you take it back to his movie, with everything him doing, him always trying to step up a level and do stuff ahead of what he was supposed to be able to do. And then you add in somebody like Peter, who is just an instant distraction in any mode. What is Peter Parker? What is Spider-Man known for? Distraction. Half the time he defeats enemies because he distracts them from what they're doing. And it's when you're doing spells like that. Look at me talking like I'm a sorcerer. When you're doing spells like that, you need ultimate concentration, or at least that's what we've seen from what we've been paying attention to these movies. Need time to do something. Give me time. Every sorcerer or
You're a sorcerer supreme, man. You should be able to throw these spells out your ass at any moment.
Not when you got to concentrate. He's not. Think about we can take this DC. Think about Zatanna. You know what I'm saying? She has to be able to concentrate and pronunciate what she needs to do in order to do it. The only person that is in the MCU that is supposed to be able to cast spells just without incantations and different stuff like that is the Scarlet Witch. So she's the one that could just do what she thinks of, and then stuff just, happens. So we'll see what's going on. I think that's him just acting like him, being cocky, knowing who Peter is and what he is to the multiverse. You know what I'm saying? And maybe again, with him being, he doesn't have the time stone anymore. So is he looking into the future to see? I don't think he's looking into the future to see what's going on. I think that's just him trusting in who Peter is, and Peter wouldn't have came to him unless it was a dire needs, and he wanted to help a friend. So, and accidents happen. I mean, we have to get into this somehow.
Yeah, I agree. I think two things. First one, yes, I do think Doctor Strange is incredibly arrogant, and I think it's very in character from him, everything that we've seen in the trailers, because, you'll look back even the first movie. How did he get his superpowers to begin with? Oh, because he was recklessly driving down a really thin road in the middle of when it was pouring rain. And then he was also, texting on his phone while all that was going on, while going 120 miles down that highway. So it's this dude is not responsible at all. So him attempting a spell like this makes total sense for a character like him.
I would hope that after 10 years that you would learn from your mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Come on, guys.
Does he seem like the kind of person that would
You're a doctor, bro.
Makes mistakes?
You're a doctor, though. Come on.
The only person that goes into the arrogance, him being a doctor. The only person that we see that's ever learned from their mistakes in the MCU, to be totally honest with you, is T'Challa. We even see that in the What If. You look at Peter Quill, you look at everybody else is some type of mess up. Whether it's Iron Man, whether it's Captain America, they've all made mistakes from believing in who they were and had to adapt that to go over. We've only had one Doctor Strange movie. We've only had him in 2 other movies. So we haven't been able to see the growth that he had, even though it's been 10 years. We don't know if he's acting the same or not. He's just that arrogant doctor.
And the other thing is too, he might look at the accident that he had as a good thing, and so that's why it probably didn't change like the overall arrogance that he has when it comes to like, and especially with him being the Sorcerer Supreme so fast, he probably has a giant ego, and so he thinks he can pull off any spell he wants without any consequences. I think that's perfectly in character for him. The other thing is, I personally think Peter being the one to mess up the spell is misleading. I don't think that's actually how it's going to play out in the movie itself. I think there's going to be something else that causes the spell to go wrong. That might be a spoiler, and they wanted to keep that out. So I think they purposely misled us by making it look like Peter Parker was the one to screw up the spell.
That's why I was saying, I was wondering if it's that reasoning, or if it's maybe the other things that we've seen kind of occur either in WandaVision or Loki that have forced that to cause the error in the spell, were the two things that I mentioned. So yeah,
that's exactly what I feel like it is. I feel like all of this is taking place at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that would be kind of cool to find out. It was just like what if episode 3, I thought the way they did that was really awesome. So if they do something similar with these next upcoming movies, like with Spider-Man, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and WandaVision, having it be like all of those were taking place at the same time, that would be actually really cool.
Yeah, and I think for me, the takeaway from this trailer that I wind up getting, just from the conversation between Peter and Doctor Strange, really the idea of I don't want to say being appreciative of the life that you currently do have, right? The idea of wanting to either change your life around or do things differently, sort of thing. I do wonder if this spell is almost like a teaching lesson to Peter Parker. Like, I know that the situation that you're in your life with the world knowing what your identity is terrible and stuff, but if you truly want to see like what your other lives certainly could be like, almost like It's a Wonderful Life sort of thing, like if you want to see what your life probably could have been like, here's a couple of other iterations of you, Peter, from other worlds, right? Here's some of the other villains that these guys have had to deal with, sort of thing. So maybe the idea of your secret identity, not to say that not to downplay it, like it's not that bad, sort of thing, but I do wonder if this is a way for Peter to kind of see the other things that are happening out there, to versions of him, to maybe make him appreciate what he has just a little bit more. Maybe that's what winds up bringing all these villains into town. But I really dug just the teases that we wind up getting. And I think seeing Alfred, especially based off, like, I wonder if Alfred hadn't spoiled or revealed that he was going to be in the movie, if they would have even put him in this trailer, or if they put him in here because it's like, you know what, we can at least give this one away. You know what I mean?
Or
I still think him spoiling it was actually planned by Marvel. I don't think he actually like broke any contracts, because I feel like if he did, he would have lost a lot of money, and I don't think any actor would be willing to risk that, even if they are bad at keeping secrets. So I think Marvel wanted him to kind of give that away, but they wanted to have fun with the fans. They wanted fans to feel like they were getting inside information, so they asked him to present this news as if it was a secret.
I think people are going to be mad when they see that he's not in the movie as much as they would like him to be. But that's honestly what I feel like. I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of jumping around, seeing a lot of different stuff, and it's just going to be like moments that you get, and then people are waiting for like these big villain team ups and all that. You might have that, but I don't think it's going to be as long as they want.
I hope so. You got like the Sinister Six possibly there. We've been talking about the idea that Sony's been wanting to do a Sinister Six movie for such a long time. I really would like to see these villains like either working together or whatever the case may be. But if they are coming from like separate different universes, they may not even really know about each other. They may just maybe all have one goal in mind, sort of thing. You know, Marcelino does say, he says, I hope Doc Ock and the other villains get introduced where I can learn about them, since I haven't watched the previous movies. Do you think that they're going to give some time to character development for any of these villains?
I don't think they're going to treat it like with the idea in mind that everyone's seen all the other Spider-Man movies. I think they are, while they're not going to go into depth about all the villains, they are going to give you enough information so you can still watch this having not seen any other Spider-Man movies and still be like, oh, okay, I get it now. I see who these guys are.
Yeah, I still don't think these are the same villains. I think you're getting alternate variants of the
Oh,
villains that
okay.
we knew. That's
Oh,
honestly
interesting.
that's honestly what I think you're getting. And I had another thought. Now I can't
You
even
know,
remember it.
while you're thinking about that, I was just thinking to myself, wouldn't it be cool if the Green Goblin that we actually get in here is not the one from Sam Raimi, but the one with the actual mask, like the original design that they wind up making a long time ago?
Mhm.
I would love to see if that's something. Somebody even also threw out a theory or a rumor that some people didn't think that it sounded like William Dafoe as the Goblin, and some people are suggesting maybe it's a variant of Ned as like
Oh,
the
that was my
Hobgoblin or
theory.
somple. Oh, is that what you put it
Yeah,
out? Okay, okay, no.
that was my theory, is that
I
maybe it
love
could
that theory.
be like I wanted to see, yeah, I want to see him played by the same actor who's currently playing Ned in the Spider-Man
Yeah, his
movies.
homeboy lost
But
a lot of weight.
yeah, exactly. Like, so you can have both Ned, before he lost a lot of weight, still acting as like the chubby friend of Peter's, but then his variant could be the one that looks like him now, having lost a lot of weight. And it would make sense too, because Marvel's the kind of studio that will pay someone to, hey, I know this is going to be really bad for your body, which is why we are going to pay you for any permanent damage that may occur for this. We will make sure that you do not die from losing weight for this role if you are willing to do this. So I feel like Marvel has that type of money that they can get away with that. And this was another thing I kind of thought of. I wonder if this is something Marvel would be willing to do, all this to really surprise audience members. Is that, yeah, because anytime Willem Dafoe has been asked about Spider-Man and whether or not he's going to be in it, he hasn't answered it. And normally that would mean that clearly he's in a contract, which means clearly he's in the movie. I wonder if Marvel's the type of studio that would pay an actor to not say anything, even if they're not in the movie, simply to give the illusion that he could be in the movie.
Just to play it up for them.
Yeah, I am curious if they would do that.
I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like everybody's forgetting about Barrymore though.
Him playing into this?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think everybody's just forgetting about his hate for Doctor Strange and his hate for sorcerers right now, and the fact that he wants to correct everything and everything that people like a person like him and the drive that they gave him isn't just going to sit back when all this stuff is going on.
Well, I
if
know
he's
he's
not
supposed
behind
to.
it himself.
Well, I believe he's supposed to be in the upcoming Doctor Strange movie also. So I don't know if he pops up in here or has a role to play, or if his role will really lie in the Doctor Strange sequel. Do you think we see Mordo pop up in here, Stuart?
No, I at least I hope not. I kind of want this to focus just on, Spider-Man characters, with Doctor Strange just kind of being there to support, but that's about it.
No, I think the minute you start to open portals and do magic, it just you know what I'm saying, it just leaves that into it, because he's using he's defying exactly what he's told to do with the magic and using it in the wrong ways again. And this is where this dude is supposed to, you know what I'm saying, because I could see somebody like him, all right, let's get these villains, you know what I'm saying, together, let's stop them from the final, but you not knowing it's him until, you know what I'm saying, it's him. Leading into Doctor Strange, I really feel like this Spider-Man No Way Home is like the last Friday edition of SmackDown before the pay-per-view hits. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be the biggest year SmackDown before WrestleMania, and then when you get to Doctor Strange, that is WrestleMania. That's what I feel like this is leading up to.
Yeah, that definitely feels fitting for sure. And then one last thing real quick. There's already Mephisto theories out there. Are we off the bandwagon of trying to figure out, is Mephisto in this fucking movie?
I don't think so, especially because this is a Sony movie and they're trying to get as much money from it as possible. They really want as many people to watch this as possible so they can finally, when they get when they fully get Spider-Man's likenesses back and Marvel can no longer use them, they want to make sure that they have a fan base that's going to continue watching that. And with Mephisto, if they include him because he is based on the actual devil, they would not be allowed. I'm pretty sure they would not be allowed to air the movie in China, because that's one of the weird restrictions that Hollywood movies have for China. It's really bizarre, but because of that would lose them a lot of money. So I don't think we're going to get Mephisto in the movie. If we get Mephisto in anything, it's likely to be a Disney Plus show.
This is where I'm gonna go with this, because Ghost Rider was allowed to air in other countries, and Ghost Rider had, I think it's the way you play Mephisto rather than having him as the devil. I think the reason why people are tying this, as other things, so close to what's going on is because this Spider-Man movie seems very heavily influenced by the One More Day comic, down to the T. And the thing with it, and the thing why I think people feel like Doctor Strange is Doctor Strange, is because Spider-Man went and made a deal with Mephisto in order to, you know what I'm saying, save Aunt May and, you know, have everybody forget Noah's identity right after Civil War, because he found out that everybody knowing his identity put everybody around him in trouble, and he didn't think about that before, and Aunt May ended up dying. So it's something that they could play with, or something that they could just go, we're taking stuff from that, like we're influenced from that, but we're not following that direct line. But I could understand where people might feel that might pop up, but you would have to do Mephisto in a vein where he is somewhat of a multiversal being, you know what I'm saying, something else rather than just the pure devil. You could have him come out as the devil later in a Disney property, like this is why he has so much influence, but you could introduce the character as the character, but not show what his background and stuff is. Just have him as a Loki, a trickster, as of right now.
Yeah, I feel like Mephisto, I think the payoff, and I don't know if he's even going to be in this movie, but I feel like the payoff will come in Multiverse of Madness. Like you said, Indy, the idea of that being like the WrestleMania of movies. I mean, you know, Kevin Feige has talked about the idea that they're not going to be doing Avengers movies so much as they are going to be doing more event films. And I think Into the Multiverse of Madness is definitely an event level film. And I just wonder if these little teases and little hints at Mephisto, whether that be in the MCU television series or movies, if that is going to be leading into something bigger to actually be resolved when it comes to Doctor Strange 2. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. But the Spider-Man No Way Home trailers looking fantastic. Love the debut of Alfred Molina as Doc Ock once again. And I think that's pretty much all that you need. I would agree with you, Stuart. I'm perfectly okay if this is the last teaser that I wind up getting, because I felt like for a teaser trailer, it was like two minutes and some change.
It was 3 minutes.
It was relatively long. So for a teaser, I would expect something a little bit shorter. And I felt like they gave us enough storyline details to kind of get us an idea as to what we're getting ourselves into. And I don't know if another trailer will dive too much into it, or if that's going to be more or less the action trailer that we wind up getting. But I am with you. One, I would be okay if this is the only trailer. If they give me another one, that's fine. Just don't give me too much new footage, and don't show me the other Spider-Man. Don't show me the other Spider-Man.
We're going to get another trailer that is totally going to contradict this trailer, because I really feel like the teaser trailer is that long because they're like, look at this. Half of this stuff isn't even real. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. I could feel that being Spider-Man going down. To me, it feels like it'll be a huge what if movie. I do this, this happens. I do this, this happens. If I do this, until he can get everything fixed and do what he was supposed to do, like it's almost a lesson that he's learning. I feel like we'll get a trailer and we'll be like, what is going on in this trailer? It has nothing to do with what's going on in this trailer. And then we'll get a final trailer that totally contradicts the other trailers, to the point where we have no idea what's going on in this movie.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So it definitely seems like we got ourselves a Sinister Six on our hands, possibly Doc Ock. We got some teasers for Electro, possible tease for Lizard. When me and the girlfriend watched it, she picked up on the Sandman stuff, so hopefully he's in there. Green Goblin as well. This movie's going to be off the charts, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. But we want to know your thoughts. You guys had the opportunity to certainly check out the Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer. What did you guys think? If I'm not mistaken, I think this like blew the record out of the water for Avengers Endgame, like in regards to how many times it's been viewed within 24 hours. So people are highly anticipating this movie. It may be Tom Holland's last Spider-Man movie in the MCU. We'll definitely see how that turns out later with Sony. But guys, we want to know your thoughts. What did you think of the teaser trailer? What jumped out at you? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that out of the way, guys, you know what? Let's move on to our next topic. We're going to go ahead and continue to live in the world of the MCU, where it seems as though every day somebody is out there self-campaigning to go ahead and be in a Marvel. The idea of being attached to a superhero film or that franchise in general, everybody wants a piece of the pie because they know exactly not only how much fans love it, but how much money they're certainly going to be making. And who knows, maybe you can get yourselves a 4 to 5 movie deal and be strapped for the rest of your life. So when it comes to this next article, I found it really fascinating here that somebody of the caliber of Elijah Wood himself, that's right, Mr. Frodo from Lord of the Rings, has come out and said, I would like to be in a Marvel film too, as would we all, Elijah. So let's go ahead and dive into this article and see if we think Elijah Wood would actually fit in the MCU or even maybe the comic book hero genre at all. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. This comes to us from Entertainment Weekly. It says Elijah Wood reacts to Lord of the Rings memes and says he's ready for a Marvel movie exclusive. Let me see if I can find the Marvel talk here. I mean, he talks a lot about let's see here. Where did it go? I should have actually ran over this a long time ago. It says, having been a part of a mega franchise before, Wood also voiced the character Jace Rocklin in the Star Wars The Resistance. I had no idea. Revealed he'd like to get a chance to play in a large sandbox again and maybe do a Marvel movie. He says, I think that's just inherently fun, he stated. I haven't had a chance to play in a giant sandbox in a while. Star Wars gets precedent because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so more of that, certainly, in the live action sphere would be awesome. But working on a Marvel film, I mean, there's obviously a whole conversation that happens, certainly in film Twitter, about sort of the cinematic relevance of Marvel. Is it cinema? All this sort of shit. And whether you like superhero movies or not, they are inherently fun, and those movies are extremely well made. I think getting to play again in that universe's sandbox would be a blast. It'd be totally awesome because it's such an insane scale. So he doesn't mention the idea as to whether or not he's talked with the Kevin Feige or anything like that about being in a Marvel film. But clearly, when it comes to Elijah Wood, somebody that's mostly famous. I mean, he's had so many freaking movies that I absolutely love, but most people remember him from Lord of the Rings for sure. But the idea here that first off, I didn't even know that he did a voice for Star Wars Resistance. So I think that's pretty cool to even find that out. But I wouldn't mind seeing him dabble in the world of Marvel. I don't necessarily know a character that would fit Elijah Wood really well. I don't even know if that's necessarily a superhero or if you give him a role like Martin Freeman in Black Panther, where he's sort of like the liaison. I don't know if you make him a liaison to something. Do you guys have any ideas as to who you would personally like to see Elijah Wood perhaps play in Marvel films at all?
I got 3.
Oh, you got 3, Indy? Okay, what's
I'm gonna let Stuart go so that hopefully I don't take one of his.
You definitely won't. Mine's kind of underwhelming because I've just been like thinking really hard about it, and I could really come up with only like one, which is maybe Mephisto. But the other thing is I could kind of see him just in general with whatever he's in. He would be perfect as a misleading villain, and I don't know which villain specifically he would be perfect as. I just know as a misleading villain. And I'm thinking like the one that I think he would work the best for would be Guardians of the Galaxy. So I just feel like he would have amazing chemistry with the Guardians themselves. And I think it would be perfect just because he always comes off as very soft-spoken. So for him to kind of like play this surprise villain in a Guardians movie, I think it would work really well.
Very nice, Stuart. Yeah, it's for me, it's hard to. The only reason, and no disrespect to Elijah Wood, but the guy is like 5 feet. And so like to put him in a superhero role, I gotta have my superheroes tall, man. So I don't. It really makes it difficult for me. Right now, the one that I'm certainly thinking of, that I personally would think he'd be really great to play as. I wouldn't mind seeing him play Chameleon in a Spider-Man movie. I think that would be pretty cool. That's one villain that we have yet to kind of see, but I think Chameleon would be a really great fit for him. What about you, Indy? You said you had 3 in mind. What 3 are you referring to?
Toad.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
X-Men.
Yeah.
I like that.
MODOK.
Oh God, with
I
the
would.
big head.
Yeah, wouldn't mind him playing MODOK. You know what I'm saying? I could just see his face in that contraption. You know what I'm saying? Let him play MODOK. And the third one is something that I believe would be totally honestly really good if he got the role, because I feel like his size, his stature, and just the way he acts would be good for it. And that's if he got the opportunity to play Nightmare.
Oh, I do. Oh, that's a good one, man. I do like that Nightmare pick. I like the Nightmare and Toad one. I think those are probably my favorites. I really like those choices.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just have him come back as Wolverine. Can he play Wolverine? Can he, like Elijah? Can you gain like 30 pounds of muscle?
It is
Captain
funny.
RGJ says Iron Fist. Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting because he actually does kind of look like the actor that played Danny Rand in the Netflix series. So that's actually kind of interesting.
He might just be too that might just be too asking too much. He might be a little bit too short to play that particular.
That's my
role.
only concern. That's my only concern. But I love the Nightmare and I definitely love the Nightmare and Toad one.
But
Iron Fist, I think he might be able to pull off. Yeah, just put some like 2-inch stilts on him. He'd be fine.
We did let Hugh Jackman get away with playing Wolverine, and Wolverine was on like 5'5".
That's true.
So we let him get away with that.
That's true. We can open the door for Iron Fist to be 5 feet. That's fine.
That just be weird on screen. Iron Fist standing next to Luke Cage and he's only 5'5". That look really weird.
Is that how tall he is? Is that how tall Elijah Wood is? 5'5"?
I'm just guessing. I'm honestly being funny about it. I'm hoping he's taller than 5'5".
I mean, now like my thought is that you look at Sylvester,
5'6", but I think they're giving him like 4 extra inches. Be honest with you, I met this man in person. He comes up to like my shoulders.
My thought is though, you look at Sylvester Stallone and he himself is also extremely short, but they're always really good at making him look like he's tall in all these movies. So I feel like they could do the same with Elijah Wood. Like obviously he doesn't have like the bulky muscle that Sylvester Stallone has, but they always find kind of like clever ways to make Sylvester Stallone look taller than he actually is.
Just use some camera angles that they did from Lord of the Rings and make him look taller than everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the opposite of what they did in Lord of the Rings. Perfect.
Exactly. But yeah, great choices, guys. Great choices. Look, Elijah Wood, I think at the end of the day is such an amazing actor. He's so good at what he does that I just think talent will shine at anything. So if Marvel were to go ahead and bring him in, the idea of just adding that level of talent to the MCU as it continues to grow. I mean, I don't want to say it feels like everybody's a superhero character at this point in time, but there are like select actors that when they say they want to be in the MCU or DCEU film, even though I don't see a lot of people calling to be in the DC film these days, but I will say if you got the talent, I want you in the MCU, and I think Kevin Feige and them could certainly find a great role for him. So some great suggestions, guys. If you guys, that's a question for you guys, our audience here. If Elijah Wood was to be in a Marvel movie, who would you certainly like to see him? If you have a character in mind that you would certainly like to see him play, go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. This article actually makes me want to go back and rewatch some Lord of the Rings this week. Maybe me and the girlfriend will have to do a little bit of a marathon again.
All right.
I can't marathon Lord of the Rings movies. I can't do. I need a week just to watch one.
you gotta really clear out your whole schedule, and then you gotta like do a marathon of all 3 extended cuts. So it's like each one's 4 hours long.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I could marathon Lord of the Rings. I just could not marathon the Hobbit movies. Those are the ones where I'm like, okay, I need a day apart for these.
Yeah, it took me a while to get through The Hobbit, but I didn't mind them so much. I just didn't have the gravitas that I felt like the first Lord of the Rings wind up having. But yeah, I used to own the extended cuts on DVD. I unfortunately don't know where. I've moved several times since then. And I unfortunately don't know where they're at. But when I used to rewatch them, that's what I would rewatch, would be the extended editions. I stopped watching the theatrical ones a while back, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right, guys, and I think with that out of the way, we will go ahead and tackle another Marvel topic for you guys today, one that kind of came out of left field and I certainly wasn't expecting, and still trying to wrap my head around how to even present this. But when it comes to maybe some Christmas specials out there in the world, whether that be Star Wars or whether that be Christmas episodes and some of your favorite television shows, some of those things tend to be sort of forgettable, or things that sometimes they turn out to be like clip shows and things like that. Well, Marvel and Disney Plus have in fact decided that they want to do some specials of their own. Not only are we getting, say, our Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe that's a Christmas special coming from James Gunn also, but it seems as though they might be having a Halloween special in mind coming to us from Disney Plus and Marvel as well. Let's go ahead and dive into this because I found this rather interesting in here. The idea of Marvel tackling a Halloween special surrounding maybe a character that doesn't really get a lot of publicity here, but perhaps a werewolf by night Halloween special might be coming our way. This is from the Wrap here. It says Marvel is seeking a Latino lead for Disney Plus's Halloween special exclusive. It says project will be centered on a werewolf character and is set to begin production in early 2022. It says Marvel Studios is actively searching for a Latino actor to lead the cast of an as yet untitled Halloween special that will air on Disney Plus. The Wrap has exclusively learned. It says it's looking for a Latino male in his 30s to star in the Halloween special, which is eyeing to begin production in early 2022. In your 30s, hey, I'm right here. Individuals with knowledge say that the character may be based on the Werewolf by Night, the name used by two separate Marvel characters. The first is Jack Russell, who was created by Jerry Conway, based on concepts by Stan Lee and Roy Thomas. First appeared back in 1972. He starred in the ongoing Werewolf by Night series that ran for 43 issues. It says Russell is a descendant of a mystically altered offshoot of humans known as lycanthropes, who eventually become capable of transforming on his own volition, even without a full moon, and retaining his intellect while transformed. Among other things, that series is notable for having the first appearance of Moon Knight, a character whose own Disney Plus series starring Oscar Isaac will stream in 2022. And then you've got Jake Gomez, who's actually the second iteration of the character as well. So quite a few. It says, with the introduction of Disney Plus, Marvel Studios is able to explore different narratives and storylines on the streaming platform. And this could, in fact, be it. So it says it's still not clear which, if either, version of Werewolf by Night will serve as the inspiration for the TV special. You know, I will say this, guys. This is something that I feel like I've heard rumors about for quite a while now, and not necessarily as a Halloween special, but I felt like with the introduction to characters like Blade, with Moon Knight and things like that, us kind of going more that dark horror element, if you will, when it comes to the MCU. I started hearing rumors about a Werewolf by Night, but I wasn't quite sure if they were going to do it in the form of a movie, of a television series. But to do a Halloween special, I think is relatively brilliant. Considering the fact that they also do mention in here that Moon Knight's first appearance is in Werewolf by Night, it does make me beg the question, will Oscar Isaac pop up in here? I highly doubt that his debut will happen in this special. I could be wrong for all I know, though. But as we currently know, Oscar Isaac is filming for Moon Knight. I don't believe it's wrapped filming as of yet, but it's definitely on its way. I think the idea of even taking a character as maybe not as publicly known as the Werewolf by Night and actually giving him a special, I think this is a brilliant move by the MCU to, again, find ways to use these plethora of characters that they have in their catalog that they may not necessarily be doing anything with, but do want to go ahead and bring to the big screen. I never thought that I would see a Werewolf by Night anything, but the fact that they're trying to give us at least this in the form of a Halloween special, I'm eating this up. I think I'd be completely open to it. Not sure exactly who the Latino actor is going to be. I'm sure we'll probably get some news on that as we get closer. But I'm always here for a good scare. And if Marvel wants to dive into that realm of horror and give us some sort of werewolf movie, I'll definitely go ahead and give it a shot. But let me pass this over to you, Stuart. You hear this news of a potential Halloween special coming, possibly Werewolf by Night. Do you think that's what they're trying to aim for? And what are your thoughts on them even pulling this off?
I love classic monsters like werewolves, Frankenstein, and any kind of vampires. So if they're bringing these elements into the MCU, which we already know they are through Moon Knight and Blade, I'm all for it. Yeah, I do think there's a lot of legitimacy to these rumors because, like you mentioned, I was hearing these rumors long before this article came out. So I think them doing a Halloween special on Disney Plus is actually sounds like something that, you know, is very, very possible. And especially with having this be the way they kind of like introduce this character. What I am kind of hoping for, though, just because it's weird to call it a Halloween special and not just call it a movie or a television show. I'm hoping this means that we get kind of an anthology type story with this so that, you know, as cool as, you know, as cool as it would be to just have a standalone werewolf movie in the Marvel universe, I would kind of like to see other, you know, kind of monsters within the Marvel universe as well. So, you know, we could probably go from one story to another. And then also it could be used to set up future Marvel movies based on which parts of this special are probably the most popular. I think the reason that they're really talking about this one specifically, though, is because it's the element of the Marvel universe that we definitely have not been introduced to. Like, we definitely have not seen, as far as I know, we have not seen werewolves in the MCU. So it is something that is kind of a cool thing to get people hyped for, I think. So this was like the perfect part to introduce. I'm just hoping it's not it. And I'm hoping we get a little bit more as well.
I will say, you know, they in the Loki series, they did at least let us know that vampires are clearly a thing in the MCU. So if vampires are a thing, I definitely expect werewolves to certainly pop up also. But an anthology concept does sound pretty promising also. We'll see if that's the direction that they go. Marcelino says this better be better than George Lucas's Star Wars holiday special. I think this probably will be.
It will be, because
along with even the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, Chris, like you were saying earlier, Christmas specials and just holiday specials altogether usually ended up being like, they usually end up resulting in like a clip show or something like that. In the case of like the Star Wars holiday special, it was just a bunch of different variety shows, but like it was in the Star Wars universe. That was like kind of the joke about it. It wasn't like one movie with a singular plot. So, and it was all done live too. That's like the other thing, is that this was all just like kind of a stage production. This is something that actually has like a full-on movie production behind it. So it's going to look like a movie and not like something that's just kind of being filmed in a studio.
I get you there. What about you, Indy? You hear this potential news. Do you think Werewolf by Night's the direction that they're going? And do you like the concept of a Halloween special by Marvel?
I love it. And my whole thing is, if this could lead to other Halloween specials with other characters or anything like that, whether it comes to Ghost Rider, maybe something that leads into the Blade universe, maybe even going any darker than that, you know what I'm saying, and getting really crazy with it. Cinematographer, there's a bunch of different characters that could lend themselves to this type of thing. And as of right now, it goes with whatever Disney does. We just go with it. We go with it because we know the quality of the content that they're putting out. So I'm 110% for this, and I love the Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever read too much Werewolf by Night stuff. It is one of those things, while I love horror when it comes to film and television, I've never really dabbled too much in it when it comes to comic books. I guess I don't know what it is why I haven't certainly picked it up. I guess maybe if I feel like if I'm going to watch something horror or read something horror aspect, I want something that I know will really move me and make me feel some type of way. I just don't know if I get that same experience reading it so much as I do visually watching it or listening to it type of thing. So that's one of the reasons why I probably haven't paid too much attention to the characters when it comes to the horror element and things like that. But I do think that I do hope that this truly opens the door for the MCU to really dive into just that side of the MCU that they've yet to tackle.
Definitely agree there.
But let us know your guys' thoughts. You hear this, that Marvel's potentially doing a Halloween special. They're in the search for a Latino actor right now, and there seems to be word that this might turn into a Werewolf by Night. How would you like to see this Halloween special formed? Do you want this to kind of open the doors for other things? Do you want this to just be a one-shot? Definitely go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts. Real quick before we move on to the next topic here. So Luke, what's up, So Luke? He says, people after teaser. Where is Toby? Toby, you gonna cry? Yeah, I'm kind of glad that they didn't. I do see that there were maybe some people out there upset that they didn't show Toby and Andrew and things like that in the trailer. And I guess my question is, do you want everything revealed to you in these trailers, guys? Like, there's got to be a limit of surprise and like holding things back to want people to come out and see the movie sort of thing. You don't want to blow your load in one trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I 110% agree with you. I think what those people who want Toby and Andrew are really saying is we just want to watch the movie now.
That could be it. That could be it too. All right, guys. So with that story out of the way, we're going to transition just a little bit over to our next topic for you guys in the world of Star Wars. Since we have some Star Wars nerds out here, I thought this is actually rather interesting as we wind up getting ourselves some exclusive details in regards to the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series from Star Wars. Now, this could be spoilerish for some people, so I just want to let you guys know up front. If you don't want to know anything about the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, put your earmuffs on and then come back to us after this article. But this actually comes to us from the Star Wars Newsnet.com that reveals some exclusive details about Hayden Christensen's return as Darth Vader. Now, we know that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series has officially wrapped its filming already. I believe they're ready to go ahead and get set for start filming The Mandalorian here rather soon, I think towards the end of this year. But the Obi-Wan film or series, as far as I know, has officially wrapped. But there's definitely a ton of details that about it that we certainly don't know. What's the storyline going to be? Are we going to get another Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi battle at some point in time? Will they meet each other face to face? I'm just thrilled as a Star Wars fan that Hayden Christensen wants to come back at all and do anything Star Wars related. And I'm so glad that they were able to certainly bring him back. The last Star Wars celebration that I went to, I believe Hayden Christensen was actually there at a Q&A panel. I think they were celebrating the 20th anniversary for The Phantom Menace. And they brought back some prequel characters also. And the moment that this man walked on stage and was actually in front of a crowd, you could just feel the love that Hayden Christensen was getting from people. It's amazing what 20 years of time and healing to a fan base can certainly do when you've got people like Hayden Christensen, Ahmed Best that played Jar Jar Binks getting standing ovations when they come out instead of boos and tomatoes thrown at them sort of thing. So it's been great as being a part of the Star Wars fandom to see how time has healed all wounds, it certainly feels like. So when he came on screen and on stage, the first thing that I thought to myself is, if you guys are talking to him, you got to do something to bring Hayden Christensen back. And they certainly have, guys, as he will be playing Darth Vader in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So let's go ahead and dive into some of these details, guys, because I do want to pick your guys' brain. We got some images and things like that we're going to be showing too, some concept art ideas. So let's go ahead and break this down. If you guys are looking for a great source for Star Wars news, this is a place that a spot that I highly, highly recommend that you check out. Again, StarWarsNewsNet.com. But it says exclusive images and details on Hayden Christensen's return as Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it says, last December, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy went a bit off-brand by divulging brief story details about the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, including Hayden Christensen's return to play Darth Vader. Not Anakin Skywalker, but Darth Vader for the rematch of the century. The series has been filming in Los Angeles since April, and we have some exclusive images and details regarding the return of Darth Vader, which will provide at least some explanation why they brought Hayden back to play him. So potential spoilers, guys, just letting you know. It says, before we get into the details, please be considerate. Okay, never mind, yada, yada, yada. On to the good stuff. In last December's Lucasfilm showcase, Kathleen Kennedy made it a point to say that Hayden Christensen will be returning to the role as Darth Vader. So the $66 million question to which now we have the answer is, why is Lucasfilm bringing Hayden back to play Darth Vader? After all, Vader is behind a mask, and James Earl Jones is voiced by James Earl Jones, and they use used imposing figures, Spencer Wilding and Daniel Napros, to physically play the Sith Lord in Rogue One. So why go back to Christensen now? The reason is because we will be seeing Darth Vader without his mask in the series. We have exclusive photos from the set of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the artist rendering created, so we can share them with you. We also have never before seen concept art of Vader made for this series. The connective theme between all of this is understanding why Christensen is back as Darth Vader. And so here's some photos that they have, some concept arts. So it looks as though we might see him sort of in like his bacta tank or his rejuvenation tank also at some point in time, maybe with his helmet on. It says this is new and never before seen concept art of Darth Vader specifically made for the upcoming Disney Plus series Obi-Wan Kenobi. This image is not a render. It is exactly as it was provided. We can't confirm whether this made it beyond the concept stage, but with Hayden Christensen returning to play Vader, it will actually be him this time around and not the mannequin used for Rogue One. And based off the next image, it's a very safe bet we'll see him like this in the series. So perhaps in his tube. So yeah, man, I'm all here for it. It definitely feels like we're going to be getting ourselves a rather big battle between these two, Obi-Wan and Ben Kenobi at some point in time. But if you ask me, I've always wanted to see Hayden Christensen return. I just hope that this is more than just like a 2-minute sequence. Like I know that when it comes to Darth Vader, homeboy doesn't just walk around without his mask on. He usually always does, unless he's going through some sort of healing process or going back into his tank to rejuvenate, whatever the case may be, keep himself alive even further. So if anything, I'm hoping that there's more to it than this. But Stuart, what do you think when you see some of this concept art, how Hayden's going to be used? Do you think he's going to be rocking the mask for a majority of the time that he's on screen, or do you think we're just going to get sort of a brief tease that it is in fact Hayden under this mask when the series starts?
I don't mean this in a mean way, because I actually really do like Hayden Christensen as an actor, but I kind of hope this is all we get, unless there's like kind of a like force vision type of thing going for it. So, as an excuse of why like someone might see him as Hayden Christensen, like even before, being burnt by all the lava. But I say that only because it would make no sense if we had a lot of screen time with Hayden Christensen, because in the movies, in every Star Wars movies, even Rogue One, the times when you do see Darth Vader without his helmet are so incredibly brief. And if they, had like entire scenes where it was Hayden Christensen, looking like this, just walking around his palace like this, it would be so clearly there for fan service and nothing else. So I hope that if they utilize Hayden Christensen and they want to utilize his actual acting skills, because I do think with a better written script, he could have been a really good Anakin Skywalker. I think the way they should do it is through flashbacks and through maybe force visions as well. I really hope this, they don't extend these scenes longer just so they can give him more screen time. I hope if they want to give him more screen times, they have better ways of utilizing it.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I think a part of me is maybe under the assumption, I'm thinking maybe one scene in general out of the entire series, maybe one scene with Hayden Christensen in it. And as long as that one scene is impactful enough, like you said, maybe he's in his own palace, right? Maybe he doesn't have prying eyes of everybody else around him, sort of thing, right? We don't really know the situation we'll find Darth Vader in when it comes to this series. But yeah, give me at least one scene just to remind me that, hey, Hayden is in fact back and he's playing Darth Vader. I'll absolutely take something along those lines. But let me throw this over to you, Indy. You see some of the concept art in here. Are you thrilled to have Hayden back? Do you think this is cool, at least even if it is one scene? Do you want more than one scene from Hayden as Darth Vader? What are your thoughts and how they're breaking this down for us?
I'm Star Wars out. Like, I don't know. I don't understand how I could be, how I can not be like marveled out yet. Maybe because they're actually making complete storylines. Star Wars to me feels like the WWE, and then what I'm saying, Marvel is AEW and everything else right now. It's just I'm ready to move forward. I will check out this Obi-Wan series just because I'm a fan of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I want to see how they tell this story that we've read about and that we watched and that we did so many times over and over again. But seeing it actually on screen should be something different. But I'm so ready to just move on to the future of what, you know what I'm saying, Star Wars as a franchise is going to be. You can get away from the lore of the Jedi. You could take me somewhere else. Bring us into the future. I can't say current times because all this takes place in the future, but bring us into the future of after all this happens and let us know what goes on after that. Hayden definitely deserves an opportunity because I really felt he caught a lot of slack in that role that he played.
Mm-hmm.
With there being no chemistry between him and his counterpart and you know, different things like that.
I love how he doesn't even want to say her name. it's that Portman hate that runs deep in his veins.
So yeah, her. It just be interesting to see how this is gonna go. I know it's gonna look fantastic and it'll probably be entertaining, but where does it go from here? Because when the Obi-Wan stuff is over, we still know what happens in the future. I'm just ready to get past everything that we already know.
Well, that's what I like about, you know, the other Star Wars shows that are going to be on that are coming to Disney Plus is how they all take place after the original trilogy. So I think that's kind of going to be their future for the time being. But I'm glad that they can have like these every once in a while. We'll still go back to the past to show you a couple of in between stories. So because it's not happening super often, I'm all for it. And I think this is a really cool story to tell that a lot of people have been wanting to see even like before Disney acquired Star Wars. I think like stories about Obi-Wan Kenobi looking after Luke are stories that like a lot of fans have wanted to see for a while. And then on top of that, there is something I really hope to see from the series that I briefly mentioned earlier. I really do hope we get, because the Clone Wars, actually, I got to bring up a comment before I even bring this up. I feel like the Clone Wars is what made me appreciate the prequels a lot more over time. You know, because you could tell that the Clone Wars was written by people who really saw the potential of what the prequels could have been. And they knew exactly how to flesh out that lore and just make the prequels feel like, you know, just more enjoyable as, you know, as movies. But so what I would love to see are some flashbacks of the Clone Wars with Anakin, with Hayden Christensen specifically, and Ewan McGregor, but using the model designs, the character designs from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I think that would be a cool way to have it all come full circle, and another way of letting Hayden Christensen show that he's actually a really good actor when given like the right dialogue. And just, yeah, I think it would be the perfect fan service moments. And I think this is like the perfect show to do something like that in.
That would be pretty cool. I would be completely open to a flashback sequence also to kind of see Anakin once again, just not in his Darth Vader mode. So I think that would be pretty cool to kind of explore. But I definitely get you, Indy. There is a part of me too that wants to see things outside of maybe some of these characters that we're super familiar with, that we've had stories kind of be told. But I do think when it comes to Obi-Wan Kenobi, even though we have seen the battle between him and Anakin already in Episode 3, there is such a huge gap in time that there is more to Obi-Wan Kenobi's story that I definitely want to see explored in live action, and I'm truly looking forward to. But I definitely get you. I do want to ask, Indy, how have you been liking, say, like The Mandalorian and things like that? Like, even though that takes place like between the original trilogy and the recent Disney trilogy, even though it takes place kind of in between all that, like, is there is The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, does that get you excited, or are you ready for just anything after the prequel, after the sequel trilogy by Disney?
I think the Book of Boba Fett gets me excited just for the fact that that's a character that we hadn't had anything from since since the prequel, not the prequel, but the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the same thing with The Mandalorian. It's new story, new characters, building in characters from universes that we see going on and how they're expanding on that, whether it's animated or, you know what I'm saying, other shows, to build the future of what this is going to be. I really feel like we know what the lore of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader is. We know the lore of Anakin Skywalker, and I feel like seeing anything of them, to me, unless it's going to be a direct effect to what happens to the future. Like somebody finds out that Darth Vader did this instead of this, and then it directly affects that character and what moves going forward. It just feels like it's pointless to me, and it's fan service, which there's nothing wrong with fan service, but this to me is money that could be well spent, you know, on future productions and newer things.
Well, I guess for me to that, I would just say, while right, there is definitely money to be spent on other things. Just think of the money that this series will make them, though. You know, I think the possibilities of making this series, because there's just so many Star Wars fans that truly want to see Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan. Take the money that you're just going to rob people of and just run and go use that to create fantastic movies in the future. So I do think both elements can certainly work in that regards. But I definitely understand where you're coming from, Indy, for sure. But guys, we want to know your thoughts as Star Wars fans. How excited are you for an Obi-Wan Kenobi series? Do you feel that there's more story to certainly be told between these two characters? Clearly, I do think that there's probably going to be an even bigger overarching story that encompasses more than just Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I am excited to kind of see what he's gotten himself in during this time when he's supposed to be watching over Luke. Could we see a young Leia pop in here, Bail Organa? There's a ton of characters that I certainly would like to be to see how they go ahead and include them into this series. So guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the return of Hayden Christensen. I'm super pumped for it. And with that out of the way, guys, we've got two more topics that we're going to be breaking down for you guys today. The next one, we actually have two flash stories, guys. Two flash stories, which I'm really eager to go ahead and get into. We will get into the movie side of the Flash first. This is something that I feel like we've been talking heavily about. They've been getting some great interviews with the writers, the directors, and now even the cinematographer of the Flash, who recently came out and just really talked about how massive and the scope of what this movie is certainly going to be. And he also went ahead and made some comments in regards to this not necessarily being your traditional comic book movie, that it's certainly going to be a lot more than that. And to his comments, he did certainly get some pushback from some fans over on Twitter in regards to the sense of, what do you mean this isn't a comic book movie? It's got superheroes in it. We'll dive into it, guys. We'll get into all that. So let's go ahead and talk about this, because this is the cinematographer from the upcoming Flash movie letting us know his thoughts on the film that he's working on. So it says, this is from Collider.com. The Flash movie cinematographer teases massive scope and complex storytelling. Director of photography Henry Braham also talked about bringing the Flash's powers to the screen. So it says, I recently got a chance to speak with the cinematographer for an exclusive interview about his excellent work on another DC movie in The Suicide Squad. And during our conversation, I asked him about his work on The Flash, given that the film is currently in production. While Braham was tight-lipped, he echoed comments he made about The Suicide Squad being compelling as a movie first and foremost, and not just a superhero movie. So he says, The Flash is going to be great. I mean, it's a complex movie, and it's a fantastic concept of bringing in the generations of these kind of comic books. Again, it's not really a comic book movie. It's not based in reality. It's a much more kind of technically complex. I think all the filmmakers are really keen that the technical complexity of the storytelling doesn't get in the way of just good quality filmmaking. Hopefully, I don't think it'll ever come across as a superhero movie. It will come across as a movie, and that's what it is. I think that's the way these things need to go. We need to make we need to be making great films that happen to have superheroes who have truthful characters behind them with all the character flaws that we find in humanity. He did decline to discuss the film's tone. He did talk about working with Keaton and the rest of the cast, and he says, it's a pleasure working with the cast as they're fantastic. Michael, of course, is a genius, and it's wonderful to see him recreate that role, but in the present day, it's wonderful. I think the movie has a massive scope, and I'm lucky to be able to work on movies I'd like to go see. I'm not really interested in comic book movies. I'm interested in movies that take me on a journey, and an emotional journey, and a visual journey. He says, I think it can be beautiful and it can be emotional. On one hand, you kind of have the technical thing, when, what, and how, but it's all like filmmaking. It's about kind of figuring out an idea that you really don't think about you don't think, oh, it becomes a natural part of storytelling. So yeah, it's fairly enjoyable and fun to do. So he talks about the emotion, the scope in working with this, and then really a big emphasis here, guys, in regards to the idea that this isn't just going to be a comic book movie. He doesn't even want to refer to it as that, as he really sees the importance of at least making a great film first that just happens to have comic book characters in it. So let me pass this over to you first, Stuart. To you first, Indy. You hear this from the cinematographer for The Flash. Does it rub you the wrong way in regards to how he's viewing comic book movies? Do you kind of understand where he's coming from in his certain point of view? And does it give you any confidence in regards to how this movie is being put together?
I mean, very much so, because I don't want, the last thing I want is a Flash movie, and people are going to kill me for this. I don't want a Flash movie to be a comic book movie. I want a Flash movie to be a Flash movie, because Flash comic books have not honestly made sense in a really, really long time. Approach this as a movie with comic book influence and aspects, especially if you're not going to tell a story directly just taken from the comics. Like, leave them for the animated series. We want something different. We just want the essence of who the Flash is, who Barry Allen is, who all these characters that he's gonna, all the different Batmans, all the Alfred, whoever he's gonna run into. We want the essence of what that story is going to be, and just create the best thing that you possibly have, and you will make a great DC film. I think as long as you keep the fans in mind, you keep the people who are going to pay to go see this in mind, and give them something different. They don't necessarily want exactly what comes from the comic. They just want something that's true to character. Don't have our characters acting in a way that they wouldn't normally act, but put them in situations that make those characteristics that they have be challenged. And that will make something compelling and something new for what we're wanting to see. As long as you don't make it, as long as you don't give Barry talk no jutsu and let him talk down every villain into being good, you won't fall in the same repetition that you have from the Flash television show. So I'm for this. I've been waiting on this movie now for what? It's been 5 years since we first started talking about this.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So I'm just waiting to see what they're gonna give. And to be honest with you, if you shoot better than if you shoot for something better than the original Suicide Squad, it's a win.
I definitely agree there. What about you, Stuart? What are some of your thoughts in regards to this?
I'm going to first talk about what I think he was trying to say and why that's cool, but I'm also then going to kind of critique the way he articulated it and talk about why I can see it rubbed people the wrong way. But first, what I think he's trying to say is, I think it's kind of like when people write television for kids or just movies for kids, but it's also a movie that's meant to be something that can really affect everyone in a certain way. Like the way Pixar likes to write their kids' movies, how they don't just make it for kids, they make it something that even adults can relate to, but it has enough fun, humor, and just, really cute animation so that the kids can enjoy it just as much. And I think he's talking about it like that with superhero movies. He wants it to be something that a superhero fan can go in and watch and have a great time, but it can also be a movie that people who don't necessarily keep up with superhero movies, but just, will watch whatever is out, will go to see and also like it just as much as the comic book fans. The comic book fans can get their, comic book geekiness out of the way, and moviegoers can just, have a good movie to watch. I think that's what he was trying to say. The way it comes off, and I say this because he says like it's not your traditional superhero movie, but then he goes into slight detail about the movie and describes a superhero movie. So the way it comes off is, it comes off as one of those kind of people that has never watched a Marvel movie, but they know about Marvel's reputation, and therefore they just assume Marvel movies are bad because, they come out so much, they're mainstream, so clearly they must be overrated. That's how it comes off, and I don't think it was meant to come off that way. And there's a million reasons of why it might have come off that way. Like, I think the biggest thing being it might have been a question he was asked off guard because it was supposed to be an interview about the Suicide Squad. So he didn't know exactly what to say on the spot about the Flash movie. So, you know, I'm not going to hold it against the cinematographer at all, but I do stand by. I think he poorly articulated what I think he was trying to get across. So I can kind of, not saying he deserves, you know, people harassing him. Don't do that, guys. Do not send him messages or anything like that. But I can totally see why, like, he might have gotten some backlash for this interview.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that too. Why he might have gotten some backlash, just because I feel like we have comic book movies certainly have been under fire over the past couple of years of people coming out and talking about, you know, those aren't real movies sort of thing. I wouldn't be caught dead in a comic book movie sort of thing. But I do agree with you. I do think, at least when I read the article or at least hear his words, like for me, I feel like I wonder if the term comic book movie has become sort of outdated. In the sense that, you know, maybe when we watched Blade originally and the first X-Men movie and Daredevil back in the day, those felt very much like your classic comic book movies, right? Like hitting all the superhero tropes that you need to, action flick, yada, yada, yada. And I just feel like since Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk, these movies really have sort of garnered, I don't want to say more attention, but it's grown. You know, Marvel did a fantastic thing when Winter Soldier and really showcasing that these type of movies can be other things outside of just comic book movies. You can take these things into the spy espionage sort of route if you certainly want to go that direction. And so I feel like the idea of calling maybe some of these movies comic book movies, I don't want to say it's derogatory, but I think it's almost lessening what it is that they're certainly trying to create for themselves. I mean, you look at a movie like Joker, some people would probably refer to that as a comic book movie, and maybe to a certain extent it is, because it has a comic book character in it. But seeing what they were able to do with it, with that movie and the Joker, far more than just your average comic book movie. And I feel like maybe that's what he's referring to in here. The idea that, you know, we really want to push the envelope, focus on the story, focus on the characters, and these characters just happen to be superheroes or characters in the movie. That, you know, the amount of effort and time that they're really putting into these movies to create a much bigger world and vibe and tone, and make it feel like it's something of its own. When I hear him say that, I feel like he's trying to just elevate his movie perhaps above what we would just consider a classic and traditional comic book movie. But you're right. For some fans can probably read into this as, oh, this guy doesn't like comic book movies, so he doesn't want to make a comic book movie. I definitely get what you're saying, but I almost think it's a sense that we've kind of passed that at this point, that every movie, I don't want to say every movie that comes out, but there are clearly some comic book movies out there that are a step above because they're really pushing the envelope in their characters, their storytelling, finding those emotional ties, to where it really then does become a little bit more than a comic book movie. So that's kind of how I kind of took it. So I really do appreciate his perspective in that, in regards to that. But I do understand maybe why there certainly has been some pushback. And if this is the route that they're going to go with the character like Ezra Miller's Flash, I'm here for it, because, you know, Flashpoint, I don't want to say is pretty emotional in regards to Barry Allen's life. You know, the idea of him maybe wanting to go back and, you know, save his mom and stuff. There's definitely a huge element towards that. Seeing him mess up the timeline, perhaps in the process of trying to fix it. And then, you know, you bring in back characters like a Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne, and introducing us to all these characters. I do think that there is just a sense of a lot of character work that's definitely going to go into this. So when he talks about it being emotional and massive in scope, complex storytelling, I definitely understand where he's certainly coming from. So for me, if anything, this just gets me even more overly excited. I'm sure we're clearly going to have our superhero elements into this, power sets, being, you know, doing heroic things and things like that. But I am coming for this movie story first. And I think when I read this article, I feel like that's personally what he's pushing. What do you think, though, Stuart?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely think, well, Let me just kind of correct something that I said in case it came off that way. See, even I'm bad at articulating my points at times. It's not just him; it's
No,
everyone.
you're good. No, you're good.
But yeah, no, I'm not saying that he doesn't like comic book movies. Just to make sure that's clear, what I'm saying is that it sounds like he probably not that he doesn't watch them at all, but it's just I think it's just to me. I'm looking at how comic book movies are all really changing up their formulas now. I think that they've with Marvel's second phase in particular, that was when they started to really feel very repetitive, like we're watching the exact same movie over and over. So it feels like, right now, every comic book movie is really trying to dive into different genres. They don't want to be labeled as a comic book movie. They want to be labeled as, like for Suicide Squad in this most recent one, it felt like it was just trying to be a comedic action movie that just happened to star characters that are from comic books. Then same with, like you brought up the Winter Soldier. It felt like a spy espionage movie that happened to star characters from comic books. And even with Blade, I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting it with a kind of a horror feel that just happens to star comic book characters. So yeah, what I'm overall saying is that I feel like comic books having a lot of variety, or comic book movies having a lot of variety to what you're watching, isn't anything as new as the guy kind of made it seem like it was when he was talking during the interview. Like, it's not really that much unique anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you make perfect sense there. I definitely get what you're saying. And sorry, guys, Indy had to leave for a second, but he should be popping up. Yeah, I think he's about to pop up here in just a little bit. But yeah, good to see you back, Indy. Thanks for joining us again. But yeah, any last words in regards to the Flash movie?
It better be good.
I hope so too. I really do hope so too. They've got some great elements so far. I'm really looking forward to Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton and being here, Sasha Kaye as a new Supergirl. I'm really interested to see how they're going to make this story fully fleshed out. So guys, we want to know your thoughts. What do you think about what the Flash movie cinematographer had to state about the massive scope of this movie and it not quite being a comic book movie? What do you certainly take from it? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys.
I'd love it if Grant Gustin's cameo in the movie is him trying to talk down the main villain, trying to turn his life around. It doesn't work, and him just being like, that usually works in my universe.
Do you guys think we'll see that scene from the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths moment? Do you think we'll see that in the movie?
So.
I hope so. I hope so, and I think it's a huge possibility only because of the way that scene was formatted, being very different from the rest of Crisis. It felt like that scene was like that whole scene where they're in the Speed Force. Wow, I don't know why I blanked on that. It felt like that whole scene was just formatted for theaters, so I feel like it would work perfectly if they just wanted to copy and paste it into the movie. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, they definitely had that widescreen format that immediately changed when we got to that moment. So yeah, they could easily just plop that in there if they certainly wanted to. All right, guys, out with that story out of the way, we've got one more for you guys that we're going to be diving into, and it's more Flash stuff, but this time from DC Television. So we're going to go ahead and get into this real quick. I just want to let everybody know, if I'm a little bit distracted during this segment, I do apologize. For us fantasy football fans out there, this is a big weekend, this weekend and next weekend. We've got a couple of fantasy football drafts that are happening. Unfortunately, one of mine is about to start in literally 2 minutes. So I'm going to be trying to draft at the same time while presenting a story. So we'll see how much multitasking I'm able and capable of doing in here. As we've got his, is that a Carson Wentz? Oh, that's a Manning jersey. Okay, Manning. You gonna get yourself a Carson Wentz one though, Indy? I'm gonna take that as a no. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into our next topic. This one from DC Television, as The Flash season 8 is certainly headed its way. We've been teased before at the upcoming 5-part crossover or team up event that we're going to be getting at the start of The Flash. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have more details. The Flash is going to be kicking off with a 5-part event. We've been wondering who's going to show up into this. And this week, guys, we got ourselves a lineup of the heroes and the villains that are certainly going to be in this series. And I cannot wait to see how this is certainly going to turn out. Gone, or maybe, I was going to say gone are the days of the big crossovers. But if you have a 5-part event event. This has to be massive in some way or another, but it feels like it's solely going to be focused on in the Flash television series itself. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit into this this article here. This comes to us from deadline.com, letting us know just all the juicy details that we need as we wind up getting the lineup of superheroes and villains revealed for the 5-part season 8 launch event. It says the CW will become the Flash. The CW will welcome back the Flash for season 8 with the 5-part special event Armageddon. Set to begin November 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark your calendars. November 16th. Armageddon will feature numerous guest appearances from some of the CW's most notable characters, heroes, and villains. Set to join the Flash team are Javicia Leslie as Batwoman. Brandon Routh is making a return as the Atom. Cress Williams is making a return as Black Lightning. I'm so happy. Kyler Lee from Supergirl's popping up in here as Sentinel. We've got Kate McNamara, who's coming through with the Oliver Queen legacy as Mia Queen. And we've got Osric Chow as Ryan Choi, who's going to be coming back as well. And then, of course, we got Tom Cavanaugh and Neil McDonough, who will be returning as enemies, Eobard Thawne, along with Damian Dark. But we also wind up getting casting announcement, too, that another villain is going to be popping up in here as Tony Curran. The actor Tony Curran is going to be playing Despero from DC Comics is going to be making his presence felt. It says, in Armageddon, a powerful alien threat arrives on Earth under mysterious circumstances, and Barry and Iris and the rest of Team Flash are pushed to their limits in a desperate battle to save the world. But with time running out and the fate of humanity at stake, Flash and his companions will also need to enlist the help of some old friends if the forces of good are going to prevail. And then, yeah, it says, trying to see if there's anything else in regards to that. It says the idea for the Flash is Eric Wallace and Greg Berlanti have come together and are talking about other superheroes from the CW verse who will come together in each individual episode. It's not quite going to be a crossover, but it will have crossover type feel and the introduction of these characters. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm so pumped. I'm so fucking excited for this. I truly am. Some names that immediately jump out at me that I'm thrilled to see back: Brandon Routh as the Atom. Also his new counterpart in the Ryan Choi character, who eventually becomes the Atom, is certainly going to be in here. I'm hoping that this is where the mantle is sort of moved down. I think some of us were maybe expecting that in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we never got that. People have been wondering, where's Ryan Choi? You introduced him and then you just completely forgot about him. Maybe this is that moment. Getting more Black Lightning, super thrilled that Cress Williams is certainly going to be in here, seeing that despite his show not being around anymore, that he doesn't mind getting back in the suit to go ahead and represent his show. And then last but not least, guys, Mia Queen is back.
Why do I feel like you forgot her name?
I was going to say Kate McNamara, but I said, fuck it. I'm just going to say Mia Queen. Thanks for calling me out. It's one of those things where I love the fact that even though we didn't get ourselves a Green Arrow and the Canaries, that even Kate McNamara said to herself, if you need me back as Mia Queen, just let me know when and where, and I'll certainly be there. And she's certainly going to be popping back up. I don't want to be one that's going to be like, maybe this gives us our Green Arrow and the Canaries opportunity and chance in another season or two. I'm not going to get that ahead of myself here, but the fact that they're mindful enough to bring Mia Queen back in, I think is great for the Oliver Queen legacy. I feel like this continues to emphasize the fact that this is still to some capacity an Arrowverse, despite all the changes that we're certainly getting. This may be our last Arrowverse hurrah in that sense. Who certainly knows? But man, some great characters coming back. I cannot wait to see how they're certainly utilized. But let me go ahead and throw this over to you, Indy. You see some of these names that are certainly returning, some of the villains. How excited for you for this are you? And what are your thoughts in regards to it?
All I heard was Mia Queen, and that's all that matters.
I knew you'd get pumped about that, man.
Yeah, I was really pumped when I saw this. I was pumped that she actually confirmed it like really early.
Yeah,
Like,
really
she was
quick.
one of the first people that posted about that. But that shows you that this, even though the CW, I feel like it drops the ball a lot of times when it comes to series, like an entire season of a show. They do understand what their fans want to see and try to at least give you that. So I'm very interested if they truly understood fans, we do not want the Armageddon storyline. That's like one of the
from
worst
the comic books.
That's one of the worst Flash storylines ever. But as we've seen through different things, maybe they can make it better. Especially with using the characters that they're using. The only thing I don't understand about this is how many seasons have we seen in the Flash where he's told that time traveling is bad? I don't understand how he's going to get some of these characters to help him without traveling through time. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all works. But look, to have Black Lightning back, I know for you to have, because I kind of feel like you're going to be around that episode. I don't know if you're going to review it with me, but I kind of feel like you'll be around for that episode. Or you might even watch the actual episode of The Flash if he's involved in it.
I'm gonna watch these 5 at least.
I definitely am. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be pretty interesting how they do that. The passing of the torch, which should have been done to Ryan Choi a long time ago, to actually get the Atom back to hopefully possibly, you know what I'm saying, pass that torch down, which means could we be looking at somebody new on the Wave Rider? You know what I'm saying, for a new season of Legends. I feel like we're setting up different things for different shows, and any opportunity that we can get at Green Arrow and the Canaries, and if we can't at least get Kat on a show as Mia Queen, I don't even care if she has her own show, but just find something to do with her, because by the end of that whole thing, she was actually really grew on me, and I hated her at first, and she just grew on me.
Me too.
So I'm looking a lot forward to this, and it makes me feel that at least the first 5 episodes of The Flash are going to be bearable.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. I definitely look forward to that. Well, what about you, Stuart? How are you feeling about this?
I'm not worried about the Armageddon storyline thing, because definitely correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never read Armageddon, but Despero wasn't in Armageddon, was he?
I haven't read Armageddon in a while, but I do not remember Despero being in there. So it looks like a full adaptation, because none of these characters were really in Armageddon.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I think it's safe to say that even if it's like they're using the guidelines of Armageddon, I don't think it's going to be the same storyline at all. What I think is going to happen, though, because it seems like, you know, if they were going to pick up the Arrow and the Canaries at any point, they would have announced it by now. So what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to use this as an opportunity to kind of retcon the cliffhanger in the pilot and kind of use it to tie it into this storyline, kind of make it so, oh, it turns out it was actually related to this instead of this other thing that we were originally going for. And I think it'll be a good way to write her into the story. I think writing her into the story will be done on her end. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the Flash being like, oh, we need this specific person from the future to help us, so I'm just going to time travel there and back, because that would just be really poor, really bad writing. Most of these characters I'm super excited to see come back. I'm really happy that we're getting Ryan Choi and Brandon Routh coming back. I know Brandon Routh didn't leave Legends of Tomorrow on the best of terms, so I'm really happy he was still willing to come back for this. And I'm hoping they actually give him a proper send-off this time. They don't just, you know, have him kind of do like a couple of scenes in front of a green screen and be like, okay, that's your last day, piss off, you know, or anything like that. Because, you know, when I listened to his interview with Michael Rosenbaum, it did not sound like he was happy about the way his character was handled and the way it was written off. So I'm hoping it's something a lot better here. Some of the characters I'm really looking forward to seeing, of course, the ones that you guys mentioned, but I'm also really excited about specifically Javicia Leslie as Batwoman for the exact same reason I was excited last year when we had both Batwoman and Black Lightning for Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's going to be, again, I love seeing characters that come from more grounded kind of environments where, you know, their villains are like actually people who are terrible and they don't tend to be like alien threats. I love taking those type of characters and putting them into this type of a crossover event where, you know, they're mixed with with other characters where this is like a weekly occurrence to them, but to them this is all very new. And so I'm really looking forward to see how they pull that off with Javicia Leslie's Batwoman, seeing her kind of react to all the weirdness, because I think they did a great job with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the way they handled it with both Kate Kane and with Black Lightning as well. So I look forward to that. The one character I don't like that they're bringing back, and it's not that the character's like a bad character, it's just that I think he only works in certain environments, and I'm not sure if they're going to find a way to make it work in this, and that's Damien Dark. He did not work at all in Arrow. I was not a fan of him in Arrow season 4, but he was amazing in Legends of Tomorrow seasons 2 and 3, because that was a very different show for him. He played like a very cartoonish villain, and because Legends of Tomorrow is basically a live action cartoon, he fit in perfectly with that show as the antagonist. And if you think that's me like saying he's a bad actor, it's not. He's a great actor, and even Damien Dark as a character, like I said, that's not an insult. It's just how it is. It's just he didn't work on Arrow, but he worked really good on Legends. So I'm kind of worried with him coming back into this and trying to see how they pull off bringing him into it, how he's going to fit into the entire storyline. I'm also kind of even wondering if it's even going to get brought up, the fact that he's the Adam's father-in-law, if that's even going to come up in conversation, because I feel like only Legends fans are going to know that. If you don't keep up with Legends, that's going to be like really weird for like kind of casual CW viewers, I guess. But overall, I think everything that they're announcing about this crossover definitely gets me excited, due to how much, like, I think it's safe to say a good maybe majority. I want to say majority, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. It seems like a majority of Flash fans were not exactly happy with the previous season. So I'm really hoping this is a really good way to kind of start out season, not only start out season 8, but also kind of show, hey, we are fixing a couple of the mistakes from the previous season. Please stick with us. We're going to get better. I'm hoping it's something like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too, man. I think for me, the standout for me, going back to what Indy was saying, I absolutely do love the idea of Kate McNamara coming back. For me, it tells me that they are at least remembering that there's a place for her in this world, and they haven't completely bailed on the Arrowverse stuff as of yet. So I'm really loving what we've gotten here. I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think, though. Do you plan on coming back for season 8 of The Flash, especially if it's going to go ahead and kick off with a 5-part episode here, or a 5-part mini crossover? I do think that we're in for something rather special here, guys. So I'm hoping this isn't the last hurrah for some of these characters. I do hope that like Cress Williams as Black Lightning, this might be for me. One of the things that stand out that really jumped out at me, though, probably has to be the idea of Kyler Lee coming back as Sentinel. I am fascinated the fact that choice wasn't Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, that they decided to give Kyler Lee that opportunity, because she definitely has proven herself, just as a character and superhero in the series itself. How do you guys feel about that idea of them using Sentinel of all people? Martian Manhunter not up in here. I'm kind of curious why they selected her.
I think it was because if they do bring back either Martian Manhunter or Supergirl, they want to keep that. They don't want to announce that, because we still don't know how Supergirl ends, and we don't know what's going to happen to any of our characters, especially because they already know that Canada Graphs leaked some of the photos that show there's a funeral scene going on. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, if you show that Supergirl or Martian Manhunter are on set for this upcoming crossover, you've already kind of spoiled that big ending for Supergirl. So I think that they are in it. They might be in it, but they're only going to be there for the studio shoots in order to hide the fact that they're there, in order to make sure that doesn't get leaked, so that they don't spoil either the crossover or Supergirl.
Yeah, you might be onto something there.
Again, 2 things. I think it's money. It costs a lot to get those 2 to come back out. You know what I'm saying? To be able to do anything like that, especially with the lives they live right now. 2. It gets dramatically easier to defeat enemies when you have Martian Manhunter or Supergirl.
Good point.
So it seems like they're going with ground level. You know what I'm saying? Not like really trying to keep it grounded to where the Flash is possibly the most powerful, you know what I'm saying, of the heroes around, and then let him for the first time, because this will be his first time doing this, let him for the first time be able to lead a superhero team. Because if you bring Melissa around, regardless of how long Flash has been on, I feel like that just automatically falls to Melissa, because Supergirl has been the leader of a totally superpowered team. You know what I'm saying? The Flash is normally out there by himself with his friends who are too busy to really help him sometimes. Because how many times have we seen the Flash that getting jumped by enemies, but Killer Frost decides that she doesn't want to be there today, or something. You know, the members of Team Flash are nowhere to be found while Flash is losing. He needs a new team. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do this. I think this is going to bring a lot of Barry's leadership into question, because that's something that we've been questioning for the past 3 episodes. It seems like he learns how to lead and then he regresses 2 seasons every new season because he keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. His kids were around the end of last season. What happens with that? Do we get excess and what is his name? Impulse. I'm used to calling him something else. I don't know what I'm used to calling. He just doesn't,
because he
like
was
Impulse.
Kid Flash for a while too.
Yeah, so I think I'm used to calling him Kid Flash and not Impulse. Impulse didn't start for me until like Young Justice and stuff like that. So if they're still going to be around, the thing that I don't like about the clip and what this says is that it still ties Iris so hard to Flash's success, because it says Barry and Iris along with other members. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it be Barry and Team Flash along with other members. They tried to put that character like hand in hand with Barry, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like the seasons have dropped so much, because they're putting too much of what he does on Iris.
I get you there.
2 more points I just thought of just now. If his kids are still in the show for the first 5 episodes, like they haven't traveled back to the future, I just realized I think they would come from the same time period as Mia Queen. So it is possible that, you know, maybe the way she gets into the story is you have one of the two speedsters being like, oh, we might need help. Hey, I know someone. And then they travel back into their time, bringing her back. And I think that'd be kind of funny if they did it that way. The other thing is, okay, so one of the biggest complaints I've had about The Flash season 7 is how they just, to me, it felt like they really dumbed down Barry as a character because they really want the rest of Team Flash to shine, which I get wanting the side characters to shine more. That's great. I just think the way they got about it by making, you know, your main character dumb is a terrible way to do it, because he doesn't feel like a leader in season 7. You know, it feels like we're watching him learn how to become a superhero for the very first time. It does not feel like the same Barry Allen that we saw at the end of season 6. So I think this would be a great way to make up for it if they could have Barry, like Indy was saying, being the leader of this big, you know, crossover event. I know they're saying it's not a crossover event, but by definition, it is a crossover event, even if it's not the same type of one. But, you know, if Barry's the one leading all these superheroes to take down this alien threat, this would be a great way to kind of make up for, you know, his lack of leadership skills from the previous season, and, you know, bring him back to the, you know, pinnacle of what Barry was at the end of like season 5 and 6, bring him back to being the actual leader of Team Flash, being like, hey, there's a reason we're called Team Flash, because, you know, I'm the Flash and I'm the leader of this team. Not like in an arrogant way. Sorry if that made it sound like, you know, he'd be an arrogant leader. He's not, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to see him being like underwritten just so they can, you know, give the side characters more to do. Just if you want to give the side characters more to do, that's great, but don't downplay your other characters to do so.
Question, Adam, is he the last Paragon left? Other than Sarah's the only other Paragon, right?
No,
no, I think Supergirl, Martian.
Yeah. Martian Manhunter.
And
technically Kate Kane is still around.
Yeah, Kate Kane.
Yeah, but it's not the same Kate Kane. So my thing is, he seems like he's going to be the only Paragon here on this show. So
yeah,
only one been through it. And it's just going to be interesting to see him lead a team of his equals. Let's put it that way, because not necessarily a team of his equals, the same people out there that are doing what he does on an equal, because they're the leaders of their teams. Without having Oliver Queen there. So I wonder with the reference, if they're going to reference that, you know, like, because that's one thing that I seen that Barry, as far as in the series, led to, is that he's just trying to be able to be a leader like Oliver. And we knew that, on Oliver's side, he never wanted to be a leader. It was just something he had to do. So I want to see how they handle that. And if they bring up Oliver, they have to bring up Oliver with bringing in Mia Queen, right? It's no way they can get past that.
Oh, yeah.
So that conundrum in its own is probably going to be one of the most interesting story aspects in this, because is this where he finally gets over the hump and becomes better? Like Oliver said, you could be better than what Oliver was as a leader.
Yeah, no, I hope they bring him up. I mean, it's hard to the idea of having Mia Queen and not bring up Oliver's legacy in some way or another. There is one name that is not on this list that I am fascinated with, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. Stargirl's not in here. Are you guys surprised? I know we're kind of going to be getting a John Wesley Shipp as Jay Garrick.
They would totally keep that as a surprise. If that's going to happen, I wouldn't say anything about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you reveal Stargirl's in this, or do you think she's not going to be in this, Stuart?
Personally, I don't think so. I think when the Flash and Stargirl do cross over, I think it's going to be in her show. I don't think it's going to be on the Flash.
I agree with that. I think it's going to be on her show. If they were going to do it, I wouldn't mention it, because the Stargirl has a totally different fan base, and has its own recognition. But I would rather see them cross over there and have it be because of John Wesley Shipp's character.
I get you.
Something in that space where, you know, Barry can help. I can't help you, but you know what I'm saying, Barry can type thing. I don't have the ability to help you. I don't have the power to help you, but I know somebody that can. And then sending them on that, you know what I'm saying, mission to be able to find Barry or ask Barry for help. But Stargirl's got a lot going on right now anyway. They're introducing a lot, doing way too much. They don't need Barry Allen to bog that down. But you could introduce the Stargirl essence in the show. You don't necessarily have to have her show up. They could have anybody, any reference, in anything else show up. You could have John Wesley Shipp show up and talk about one of the villains he helped take down, and have it be a homage, you know what I'm saying, to what's going on in Stargirl or something like that. That's all they have to do. And it will go. I mean, how many times did they mention Gotham before we actually got Batwoman?
True point.
Yeah.
True point.
Like I do. The other thing is too, like with them already having a lot of different actors coming back, it would be really expensive to get Brett Bassinger to also appear when she, you know, films mostly down in Atlanta. And then also it's kind of like the same thing with Supergirl. The fact is, I think Stargirl is still going to be airing when this crossover starts. So it means that if you bring Stargirl into it, you end up risking the idea of bringing in spoilers into how Stargirl is going to end its season 2 finale. So yeah, I do think. Let me also though add that I do think a Flash and Stargirl crossover is going to happen sooner than we may think. So I do think that probably sometime either Stargirl season 3 or Flash season 8, but again, more likely Stargirl season 3. I do think we are going to officially get an actual crossover between the two of them.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. So we'll see how it turns itself out. But yeah, guys, we've got ourselves a 5-parter headed our way. What did you guys think of the news here from The Flash? Some of the heroes revealed, some of the villains. Are you just as hyped as we are? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. Shout out to Nathan. He says, I just hope that they actually tell a good story. If it's not executed properly, it's more of the same for the CW. Throw a bunch of heroes together and get nothing. I mean, I will say this. I do think that this will probably be handled and executed a little bit better than what we wind up getting with, say, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think the idea of having to adapt such a massive storyline, certainly you can feel the weight of that in the series itself. While I certainly didn't mind it, I do know that some people had a problem with the execution. So for me, if anything, I think the takeaway, if this is going to be more of an original story, or if they're going to be doing a loose adaptation of Armageddon, I don't know, but I do think that there's going to be more solid material for our characters and the creators to really flesh out something pretty enjoyable. So I have a little bit more faith in this than I did maybe the execution of something like Crisis. What do you guys think, though?
I totally agree with that. For the simple fact, the Crisis wasn't just adapting a huge storyline. It was setting up the future of the CW verse, among other things, is what we feel like. Plus, it was ending, you know what I'm saying, a legend in Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen, because we had all that trying to wrap up at once, and there was a lot of story to tell in what they were trying to do. I almost feel like that. I almost wish they would have stretched that into a couple of more episodes, you know, and how they were doing it as far as to tell that story. With this, I think it's going to be totally different, unless this is leading up to an announcement or something that we get when we find out this is going to be the last season of The Flash.
Gotcha. Could be that too.
I think the biggest thing this has going for them, unlike Crisis on Infinite Earths, is that they're not feeling, there's no pressure to fill it with fan service. Like, whereas Crisis, if you're bringing in multiple different universes, you got to find ways to bring in cameos from all these, you know, beloved actors that have helped make DC what it is today. That pressure isn't on for this one. Now it's just, hey, now all we got to do is we got to tell a fun story. To me, it feels like they're purposely trying to downplay the crossover element of it by like literally having them not call it a crossover, even though it is by definition. And because of that, it means that now they can just tell a good story and they don't have to worry about like fans complaining because they didn't get enough screen time for this character, or that, you know, the characters that they announced for this crossovers are the only ones that we got to see. It's like, okay, I'm pretty sure no one's expecting a surprise guest appearance for this one. I think people know to expect only what they're announcing, and therefore, you know, just enjoy the story for what it is. Don't, you know, be disappointed by it because it wasn't this grand, you know, giant movie budget crossover event that you wished Crisis could have been.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with both of your guys' sentiments there. But yeah, guys, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. The Flash Armageddon storyline will be hitting us November, what was that, 18th? I think so. Mark your calendars, guys. All right. Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. All right, and I think with that out of the way, guys, I think that wraps up all the topics for us today. And if anything, we will now get into our live viewer questions, guys. So let's go ahead and dive into this, because we have quite a few questions that have certainly come our way this week. Jessica Friedman, first stop, says, would you like to see Stargirl and the JSA in the next crossover? And would you like to see Jordan become Superboy next season? So we clearly know that we're probably not going to get them in the 5-part series by the Flash. So hopefully maybe that's something that'll happen another time. But would you like to see Jordan become Superboy next season? Is that the route you think they're going to go, or what?
I think so. I think they did a good job of taking their time with it, with Jordan in this season, very slowly building up his powers and not even having him fly until like the very end. And we still technically don't even know if he can still do that, or if that was just like a one-time thing. So I think with how much he has learned, though, over time from the previous season, I think this would be a good time to finally have him actually suit up as Superboy. If not early on in the season, at least by the end of the season. I hope that's something that we get.
Yeah, I definitely hope it is. What about you, Indy?
I don't want the crowd. The crossover's always, I already feel like it's going to be way crowded for too much to go on. Unless they're breaking it down each episode, there's a different guest. I would almost like that more than having everybody on the screen at the same time, unless it's like one big last battle. But I would love for the Flash to be able to interact with each character individually in order to solve some type of problem, because I feel like especially I would love the screen time, a whole episode with Black Lightning and the Flash, because I feel like they never got enough time to experience each other on screen. So I would more like it to be like that. As far as everything else, man, I'm cool with what happens. Let it go. The way I felt like the Superboy thing was being addressed a little bit too quickly, but with the way that they executed it, it was actually enjoyable. It made it feel like it took longer than what it really did by the way they told the story. So do I want him to suit up next season? I don't know. With that show, it depends on the story that they're telling. As long as the story can thrive from that, I'm with it. But if it's something they try to force in, if you have to force it in, don't do it. If it's something that comes organically, do it. And that's something that show was doing very well.
Yeah,
you know, it'd be really funny actually is if we get him like wanting to suit up and he decides to just go with the Connor Kent look with just the t-shirt and jeans, and then you have Jonathan Kent kind of looking at him being like, really, that's your costume, that's what you're going with? I'd love to see something like that.
That would be pretty fun. All right. Next set of questions from Marcelino Vasquez. He says, what's your reaction when Ash Ketchum finally won the Pokemon League in Pokemon Sun and Moon? And what are your thoughts on Pokemon Journey so far? Do you guys play any of those or watch any of those? I don't know.
Okay. I have not actually watched a full episode of Sun and Moon, but I gotta say, I think it was Sun and Moon. I'm like 90% sure this is the anime that he was watching. I was closing like years ago with my buddy Mike back when I was working at Roland, and he would constantly watch Pokemon on his phone like while we were getting ready to close on Netflix. And I remember actually being really surprised at how good the animation is for that series. Like the animation for Pokemon is like the overall like art is very different, and I think that's what lets him be a lot more fluid. As for him winning the Pokemon League, I haven't watched it, but if that's what happens, cool. It's about time.
It's about time. Damn it, Ash. What about you, Indy? Any thoughts on that or no?
I think you're muted.
Oh, I think you're muted. Oh,
good.
Go. Yeah.
He won the Aloha League. That's like the D League of the Pokemon League. The thing about Ash, he's an eternal child. You know what I'm saying? He never grows any older. He's doing all of this at like the age of 13. So it's interesting to me that he would have been in all these leagues, but the way he won, how he won was very interesting to me. And he finally learned his lesson as far as battling goes. You know, he's learning type comparisons and different stuff like that. So I was for it, but I'm not going to champion Ash winning the Aloha League. It's team red for me. You know what I'm saying? When it goes for that, the original Pokemon trainer. But we'll see what happens. Pokemon anime has always been really good and told some very interesting stories, some very adult oriented stories, and hasn't, you know what I'm saying, spoon-fed kids. So I'm all for it.
I haven't watched, sadly, the only Pokemon I watched was the original season. And then like early 2000s, they released like the first 2 or 3 movies, I want to say, in theaters. So I went to go see all of those movies in theaters as a kid.
Let's see here. And then the next set of questions, other than the usual sci-fi, fantasy, superhero, action, space opera, and horror genres you watch, do you guys also watch other genres such as romantic comedies, movies based on true stories, nature documentaries, cooking shows, etc., like business shows, sitcoms, or anything like that? What are some of the other shows that you guys watch?
Are they asking us to review? Are they going to get our subscribers up if we start reviewing them?
I doubt it.
Put it in the comments. I'll watch anything if you're going to subscribe.
I got 2 shows I'll recommend that are very unrelated to the type of content that we review. My all-time favorite show right now, and unfortunately it only had 4 seasons, but then again, I also don't think it would have worked if it continued, because by then people would have gotten that this was a prank show, but it's called Nathan For You. And he's a guy who helps small struggling businesses with out-of-the-box ideas. But these ideas are really fucking dumb. And while let me say this, it's not mean spirited though. So he never gives them ideas that's going to screw over their business or make it even worse. It's just that they rarely do anything to actually help them. And what's funny is that everyone goes along with it because he's a guy with the camera crew. And so they just kind of think, oh, he has a camera, he knows what he's talking about. How elaborate some of these jokes get, though, from something so simple are hilarious. Some of the things that he comes up with. One of them is faking a tip. And I don't want to say any more than that because it's the funniest episode of the series especially because of the lengths he goes through to fake a tip for a restaurant to make it, seem bigger than it is. Anyways, he also, some of his stuff goes viral too in his show. Like I don't know if you guys had ever heard of Dumb Starbucks before. That was him. I don't know if you guys ever saw the video about a pig rescuing a drowning sheep. That was him. That was a completely fake video that he did. And we get to see how it all unfolds in his show in real time, or not in real time, but we get to see how, some ideas go viral and we get to see the outcome of them. And it's amazing. I highly recommend it. It is literally the funniest show I have ever seen. Nathan For You is my number one choice. Number two, I talk about the show whenever I get a chance to, but Better Call Saul is my second favorite show of all time. They're currently on their final season. I love Breaking Bad and everything, but I think this is a superior spinoff show of Breaking Bad. I really love Better Call Saul. The relationships, the characters in it are so amazing. And I think I've gotten more emotional watching this show than I have any other show out there.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, it's a great show. I love, especially kind of the earlier seasons with him and his brother. I think the way they have that dynamic between the two of them is really good. Because for me, I personally currently have a really good relationship with my siblings, and so kind of just watching this, it's weird. It kind of gets me more emotional because then I kind of think of what if scenarios of, oh man, what if this was my relationship with my siblings? And it kind of makes me emotional to kind of think of that, So things like that, it does really well. And I love how no one in the show is good or bad. Everyone just feels like a real person with their own selfish motivations. Even people that want to do good for others, even though they don't realize it, there is a bit of selfishness of where it comes from. And what's sad is I think that's kind of accurate for a lot of people.
Some of the other shows that I watch, cooking shows, give me Chopped, give me Master Chef. I used to love watching Iron Chef growing up a little bit. Romantic comedies, yeah, I gotta really be in the mood for it. I mean, I don't mind watching them, but I really gotta be in the mood for it. Like The Proposal, I think with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, I thought that was a great movie. In a weird way, I kind of even put Knocked Up there as a romantic comedy with was it Katherine Heigl and Seth Rogen. I do enjoy some comedies from time to time. I am a sucker of movies based off of true stories too. I'm definitely more like a crime documentary type of guy. Also murder mysteries. My girlfriend's got me into all that murder shit anyway. That's all she watches. And then I do watch some mindless television from time to time. I used to watch Shark Tank years ago. My mom was a big fan of that, so I used to watch that also. My girlfriend got me hooked on this mindless show, 90 Days After or something like that. It's it follows couples that are I guess after they've been married or they're trying to get married, trying to get people these international visas to come back over to the States so they can kind of get married and squared away and stuff. Some really, really odd stuff. But I like a little bit of everything just because we highlight those type of things. I'm sure we definitely go in our bag and have some sitcoms that we watch. Right now, I got sucked into Supermarket Sweep, the new stuff, the new one with Leslie Jones. I've been watching that. And Lego Masters on Fox has been hella fun just to see people's creativity and them putting together some great competitions for Lego designers and builders. So really great stuff. So great question. What are some of your favorite filler episodes? Do you guys have favorite filler episodes?
I think Indy didn't have a chance to answer.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you went already, Indy. I'm sorry.
What'd you say? Romantic
comedies,
or just anything not related to what we normally review.
I'll try. I'll just give 3, I guess. Ozark, which is my guilty. It's not a guilty pleasure. I watch that over and over and over again. I'm always introducing people to it. Cutthroat Kitchen. That is my guilty pleasure. I'm addicted to Cutthroat Kitchen, and I'm also addicted to Love Is Blind. I have no idea why, but it is hilarious to me to watch people talk in boxes and then have to get married right afterwards. I don't know. It's I'm wishing them. I think it's me being a divorcee is watching them fail is the greatest thing in life. So Those would be my top 3. That's like what I watch. Oh, and Bluey.
Bluey, what's that?
Bluey. It's a Disney Junior show about some Australian dogs.
Bluey, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So
all right. And then what do you have any favorite filler episodes? Is that even such a thing?
Yeah.
Like it's like filler episodes. You mean all 100 Naruto and Naruto shipping the episodes in between battles? I mean,
yeah, go for it.
The fillers. Is there anything that anime doesn't make that's not filler?
Well, I guess in the anime form, yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, my favorite filler arc probably comes from Bleach. So Bleach, and definitely some of the fillers from not all, some of the fillers from Dragon Ball Z or Super are honestly pretty good.
The one where they're learning to drive, obviously.
Yeah. Or where Goku's a farmer. And like it's a whole episode, and he's got a farmer train or something. It's
my friend Jonathan even brought it up. He said best filler episode.
I think we both keep clicking
Goku
at the same time.
Goku and Piccolo driving. It's a great one. Great choice.
I got a couple. Okay, so I loved which Indy brought up, the baseball episode of Dragon Ball Super. That one actually had me busting a gut. That one was just absolutely hilarious. Actually, another filler episode that took place right before it was Goku versus Arale. That was such a bizarre episode because you're just mashing two worlds that have completely different logics and realities to it. And for like the first time ever, you have characters breaking the fourth wall, literally referring to the show as like an anime and calling Arale a gag character. Like that was it was just a very different storytelling for Dragon Ball. And then my other favorite filler episode comes from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I love the alien episode that they did with Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. It's still bizarre watching that episode now and realizing, up until like the last 2 minutes where the Power Rangers have like a cameo in the episode. It's so bizarre to watch that knowing that this is a Power Rangers episode because you're looking at these guys in the outfits from Starship Troopers and you see like, obviously they're aliens, not like actual people because otherwise they couldn't show it on a kid's show, but you see dead bodies everywhere all over the ground. You even have them going, this must have been the crew or what's left of them. And the fact that they're all being, even though no one dies, they're all still getting picked off one by one, getting captured by this monster. It's just very different storytelling for Power Rangers. And I kind of wish Power Rangers would try something like this every once in a while because it's still kid friendly on top of all that. It was a weirdly scary episode, but they did such a great job of making it for kids though in the end.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there for sure. Let's see here. We got a couple more questions from AJ. Are you guys excited to see Kate McNamara, Brandon Routh, Cress Williams? He just names them all in the next crossover. And are you worried about how it might turn out, considering how awful season 7 was? Is there a little bit? I feel like you guys touched upon this a little bit. A little touch of fear in regards to its being shepherded by Eric Wallace?
I mean, no, I wouldn't call it fear. I would just call it, I know not to get my expectations up unrealistically high. That said, as much as I've been talking a lot of crap about Flash season 7, I still really like Flash season 6, which he was the showrunner for. So I definitely do think that Eric Wallace is a very talented showrunner and writer. So I do think we can still get a good first 5 episodes, especially because I think he knows the importance of this, knows that he's going to get a lot more people, a lot more than just Flash fans watching this. So I think there is a lot more going for this than there was for Flash season 7. So I'm not super worried. I just know to tamper my expectations is all.
Yeah, no, I understand you there. I think for me, the fact that Greg Berlanti is attached to this also makes me think that maybe if Eric Wallace does kind of jump the shark or jump the track, maybe you've got somebody like Greg to kind of reel him back in and really kind of focus on the story a little bit. So I'm not too worried about it. I get the hesitancy for sure. There probably will be a little bit of hesitancy for me, but I kind of dig the idea of seeing how this is all going to come to fruition.
That reminds me of an interview with Eric Wallace, because he talked about with Flash season 7 how that was the season they did a lot of things that originally Todd, when he was the showrunner of the Flash, didn't let him do. One of those things being Barry Allen breakdancing, and I'm just kind of like listening to this interview with him, and I'm kind of like, you know, maybe there was a reason he said that wouldn't be the best idea to introduce it into the show because it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with him there. Yeah, the breakdancing, and then even me and my friend Jonathan had a good laugh about the lightsaber battle. Also, so I thought that was pretty funny.
So I think like if he has someone working with him to let him know, okay, maybe let's like not do this, I think it will actually help the writing overall, like you were saying.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. He also says, what did you guys think? What did you guys like about the teaser trailer of Spider-Man? He calls it Home Slice. And do you have doubts that Toby and Andrew may or may not return? Following, how do you think Ned becomes Hobgoblin, and perhaps explains why Ned looks thinner than he was in the previous film? Granted, just so you know, the Ned and Hobgoblin thing, I believe, is just a theory. So I don't want to come across as it like it's the actual actually going to happen or confirm that he's going to be playing Hobgoblin. It is something that we tossed about earlier on in this episode when we talked about it. But yeah, do you have any doubts that Toby and Andrew may or may not return? And do you think Ned will be playing Hobgoblin?
With Toby and Andrew, I think it's going to be one of those things where so many fans expect it to where even if it wasn't a Marvel's original plan, I feel like at this point they're going to be like, fans really want to see this. Let's just see if we can throw them in for a cameo, and I'm sure they'll be happy. So I'm pretty confident that they're going to be in it. As for the Ned thing, what I don't think we're going to see him transition into Hobgoblin. I think we're just going to be introduced to a new version of Ned that is the Hobgoblin. And I think it'd be kind of cool if he came from either Andrew or Tobey Maguire's universe. And that's how they explain his introduction into it. And that also would explain why he has the familiar technology that we've seen with the pumpkin bombs. So I think him coming from Tobey's universe would make the most sense.
That would be pretty cool. I do like that idea. And yeah, I don't have doubts. I do think Toby and Andrew will be in here. I feel like maybe I don't know if the leaks that we've seen have been all true, or or how concrete those are.
Oh, I actually know the leaked photos with Willem Dafoe, Doc Ock, and Jamie Foxx are fake. And the reason I know this, because we see the photo of Doc Ock where it's supposed to look like the CG hasn't been finished, and yet he looks exactly how he did in Spider-Man 2. Now, you could argue, oh, well, maybe they had it partially finished. Like maybe they finished his face, but they didn't finish the actual arms. Well, we now know from the trailer that he looks a little bit different than he did in Spider-Man 2. He looks a lot younger in this. So I'm pretty sure when you kind of look at that, it's pretty clear to see that this is not going to be, that those photos that we see are definitely fake. I'm 90% sure they're fake.
Yeah, and even with those photos being fake, I still think they're going to be in this movie.
Oh yeah. That's not. Oh yeah, no, not going to be in it.
Yeah. No, I wasn't taking that at all. I was just saying, just even with those being fake, or may possibly being fake, I definitely still think Toby and Andrew are going to be in this movie. How big of a role they're going to have, that is still yet to be determined. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they're literally in this movie for like 2 minutes, as like brief cameos, and that's about it. And the rest of it is truly run by Tom Holland and these variants of or these other villains and things like that. So I do think that they will pop up in here. We'll see exactly how much screen time they have. Also, what do you think of the return of Supergirl final season? Do you think Andrea Rojas will find out Kara is Supergirl? And do you think that Alex will stay as a vigilante, considering Kyler has been casted to return for Flash crossover in the fall? I still believe that she's going to be a vigilante. I think there's a reason why they referred to her as Sentinel in the Deadline article, because I do think that she's going to be coming back as that. It would be cool for me if even her girlfriend Kelly popped up as Guardian. I don't expect that to happen, but I think that'd be pretty cool. And I really enjoy the return of Supergirl. Not heavy on the action, but I think based off of the first few episodes in this season and how much we got of Supergirl in the Phantom Zone, our superheroes facing off against the Phantoms themselves, this was a really great sort of emotional episode to really get our legs back under us, allow us to kind of get those connections again of Supergirl around some of her friends and really start diving into more of the mystery as to where the rest of the season is definitely going to go. So I was a really big fan of it. It wouldn't surprise me if she does find out that Kara is Supergirl, since she has William on this mission now to kind of discover and help us learn more about these heroes in National City that are certainly protecting us. So it's a possibility that she certainly might find out. But how did you like the premiere if you checked it out, Stuart?
I loved everything about it except for the ending. And yeah, basically comes down to like, I wouldn't classify myself as an environmentalist per se, but I do love environmental storylines when it's done right. And I think this episode did it really good for the most part. Cause yeah, the sorry to be slightly political, but yeah, pollution and just like our environment, collapsing, global warming is a huge issue. And so like any story or any shows that want to tackle that, I'm all for it. And I thought, the idea of comparing it to Krypton was actually really awesome. The one thing I was not the biggest fan of is the idea of her just kind of like solving the issue with the trash island by literally throwing the monster into the sun. If that was an option, if that was something that we could do without, making things worse, that's something we would have done. There's a reason we haven't like pulled a Futurama and just launched a trash ball into space, because that actually would be worse than global warming. If trash got into the sun, that would be worse than trash already being on Earth. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, okay, that's like, that would be a nice solution, but in reality, that would actually be really, really terrible.
I get you. I definitely get you there. Yeah. Let's see here. I believe we might have a couple other questions. Enrique, what's your favorite Legendary Red Ranger episodes? Do you have any?
So like legendary as in like
I'm assuming
Red
maybe
Ranger
former, like former Red Rangers.
Okay, so like kind of, but Red Ranger focused episodes basically.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's a tough one because I can't really think of one on the spot. I'm just gonna go with the obvious one and just say Forever Red, because I still say that's like the greatest Power Ranger crossover ever. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really. Like I'm as soon as our podcast ends, I'm going to think of a million. Yeah, but I can't really think of any specific Red Ranger focused episodes that I loved or that like stand out to me at this moment.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if it's a Red Ranger episode, but I will say one of my favorite moments I always enjoy, and this is very early on in Mighty Morphin, growing up as a kid, there was something always really cool seeing Jason infiltrate Rita's palace or the jail cell in order to try and get the green candle back for Tommy. I always thought that just really showcased just his leadership and just the lengths that he would go in order to go ahead and save his friend. There was just something really impactful about that Jason moment for me that always kind of stood out, like as my Jason moment growing up as a kid. I always really appreciated that. So that's one of my favorite moments.
I love the aftermath of that storyline. It actually got very mature for Power Rangers with him blaming himself and then reading a letter from Tommy like a little bit later, like telling him that Tommy doesn't blame him for not getting his powers back at all. Like that was a really, really sweet moment, actually.
And I think just that arc in general was always something that fascinated me. The dynamic between Tommy and Jason always interested me. Like it's one of those things that one of the reasons why I love the Power Ranger comic books as much as I do, whether people want to refer to it as canon or not, I always love the idea of them being able to just focus on their relationship a little bit more. Like I think in the comics he references the idea like Tommy wanted to ask Jason why he picked him sort of as the leader, and Jason's just like, I believed in you. I thought that you would be able to sort of do this job sort of thing. And I just love some of the either reinforcement that he gives or even just the subtle sort of, oh, I thought you could take care of it, but here I am having to come back and help you guys, sort of thing. So I've always been interested in that dynamic when it comes to those two.
Yeah, and it feels very much in continuity because you had these type of conversations going on during Power Rangers Zeo all the time. Like when Jason came back as the Gold Ranger, he's like, hey, the only reason I stepped down is because I knew they had a great leader to pick it up. And then a little bit later on when he's like, yeah, when I came back, it wasn't to replace you as the leader. You're still the leader of the team.
Yeah, I always love that. Always love that dynamic. AJ did send me an email here. He says, my thoughts on the Flash finale. So I'll go ahead and throw this up. It says, first off, Barry got very buff. He looks even bigger than Oliver ever was. He said, I decided to watch the two-part finale of The Flash season 7, and part 1 was stupid. I felt convoluted for me with Joe and Kramer stuff and Allegra being upset subplots. And just like season 5, Barry and Iris still telling Nora, now Bart, what to do, even though they're from the future. Barry literally said in season 3 that the future hasn't been written, like saving Iris from being killed by Savitar, aka Barry. They keep saying Impulse or Impulsive entire 2-part finale. Like, we get it. His name is Impulse. He does say the whole lightsaber battle was hilarious but cool. No surprise Reverse Flash came back. I still really think that it was stupid that Cisco, still being a superhero as Mecha vibe, ever since Todd left the series, and Cisco gave up his powers to be with Camilla. His return made his exit earlier in season 7 pointless, but you can say the name for Tom Cavanaugh. 7 out of 10 as the season finale. What do you think, Stuart?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of the opposite. I actually liked part 1 way more than part 2, but I do agree with the Joe and Kramer storyline. I think like my biggest issue with the Joe storyline is that they wanted to make it relevant to what was going on in the real world, but they didn't have the balls to like actually talk about what's going on in the real world. So the context for why he leaves, Central City Police Department makes zero sense in the context of the show. It would only make sense if they brought in the real world situations going on right now into this, like they do with Batwoman. Obviously, it was done really poorly, to my opinion, in the beginning of Batwoman, but I thought it was done really well in the second half of Batwoman. But yeah, if they had done that with the Flash, it would have been written so much better. But they try to do metaphors, and the metaphors make zero sense to what actually goes on in the real world. So yeah, it did not work at all with the Joe and Kramer stuff. But I liked everything else around the first part of the season finale. I liked the Flash family dynamics, but I still didn't like the final battle during the season finale. I think what they did not stick the landing at all. Lightsaber battle was dumb. It shouldn't have been an entire ending fight scene. It should have been like a brief moment. That would have been cool. You ruined something that was cool by like really exploiting that cool thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely get you.
Yeah, and then on top of that, again, I stick with the fact that like Barry went to a villain to help him win the day, because villains can cross lines that superheroes won't cross, and yet he still gets surprised when he almost kills him. And he then also like kind of does this as like a way to make it so it's like, oh, it's the villain that crossed the line, I not me. But it's like, no, when you're the one who brings the villain into that battle, you're the one crossing the line. I'm sorry, hiring a hitman is the same thing as pulling the trigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I hated the ending of the season finale, but I thought like the first half the first part and then the first half of the second part were good.
And then last but not least, we got a question from Doomsday. Appreciate you coming through, Doomsday. He says, what was your favorite part of the No Way Home trailer?
I think weirdly enough, out of all of the big stuff that they showed us, I really liked MJ trying to kind of comfort Peter when they're both on the roof together. Yeah. And like that kind of moment, like I feel like all of us have had these before, whether it be like you're relaxing under the sun and it's a beautiful day, or you're just, meditating, or for me, it's every morning when I'm getting out of bed, you have that moment of just pure Zen relaxation. And you're just like, I don't want to get up, because the moment I get up, I have to face my day, and I don't want to face my day. And that's exactly what you see from Peter and MJ in that moment. And I actually thought it was just such a beautiful scene. Even though it was brief, that was probably my favorite part in the trailer.
I'm trying to think where I land in regards to this, in regards to favorite moments. There are a few. I think for me, just seeing Alfred Molina back really got me hyped. He's by far one of my favorite one of my favorite villains up there with the Vulture in regards to live action villains for Spider-Man. And I think just seeing his appearance alone, I've talked about this highly on this show. I really want a Sinister Six movie. I really have been begging for them to pull the trigger. I was a little bit bummed that Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't work out the way that they certainly wanted it to, because they clearly were building up to it. But why not utilize a team like the MCU to actually make that come to fruition? I think even as early on as trying to figure out titles for the upcoming Spider-Man movie, I was trying to figure out to myself, what would I name the title of Spider-Man, the third one? And one of the things that I said was Sinister Six. So the fact that we're kind of getting these teases of these upcoming villains really gets me excited, because you show me Alfred Molina and my mind just goes all over the place. Who's on the Green Goblin airship, right? Or the whatever, the hovercraft or whatever. Is that William Dafoe? Is that somebody else? What's the new look of Jamie Foxx going to be as Electro, who certainly will be in here? Is that truly the Lizard that we see in here also? Especially the Sandman, a character I want to see all these characters come back to life, and it would be great for me. And so just seeing Alfred Molina in the trailer was probably one of my favorites. Even though I knew he was coming, I didn't expect them to drop that in the trailer, but to show that reveal just got me amped for what we're going to be getting for the rest of this movie itself. And all right, I think other than that, guys, I think that will do it for us. So that's going to be it for. I think, is Indy back? Indy, are you back real quick to say farewell? There he is. All right. So yes,
I gotta come say goodbye.
So yeah, since we went ahead and wrapped up the live viewer questions, before we go ahead and wrap up here, guys, in case you guys want to be able to follow some of our co-hosts here, let's go ahead with you first, Indy. If people want to try and reach out to you on social media, where can they find you, sir?
First and foremost, you can find me here at Aplus Hero Report on YouTube, or over at Aplus Opinions on the Facebook page, because we be in there having all types of fun and conversations and stuff. So you guys should check that out. But if you want to find me on social media, you can find me at Anime Assembled on Instagram, or at Nerd Mix Alpha everywhere else.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And Stuart, for yourself, if people want to follow you, where can they find you, sir?
You guys can, of course, follow me here on Aplus Hero Report, where I'm going to be doing my Stargirl reviews. And yeah, the season has been absolutely awesome so far. So I just absolutely love talking about this show. So definitely check out those reviews. But of course, you guys can also follow me on Twitter at TurboStew01.
Awesome, guys. And if you want to follow us here on social media, as always, right up here at Aplus Opinions, very active over on our Facebook page, mainly because that's where we post up all of our topics that we'll go ahead and talk about here on Aplus Hero Report. So if you want to be kept up with news, trailers, posters, follow us over on our Facebook page, as well as over on Twitter, which we're very active, as well as Instagram at Aplus Opinions everywhere. You can definitely find us here. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us. So thank you very much for certainly joining us. As always, we'll certainly be back next weekend. If anything, guys, remember, next weekend, we are starting at 11 a.m. Central Time. We're moving an hour early up because of the football season. We're big football fans. So 11 a.m. Central Time on Sundays, we'll certainly see you guys. But until then, do us a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And as always, keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/A+opinions. And as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.